Hello there. I'm Faire, idol philosopher and justice incarnate. Hello, Leon. Hello, Tara. Justice is coming. Justice might. This goddamn package isn't. What did you buy, Tara? What did you order? Hello. So today, what am I doing today? I'm gonna do something that I have not a lot of people might have heard of before, but it is going to be a philosophy stream. Hi guys. So as you can see here, moral foundations test. What is this? Now, first of all, I kind of want to say I'm feeling a little, I don't know how you call it, like kind of like frustrated and impatient today. I found myself feeling that way. I don't feel as, I think, relaxed and open as I would like to be when streaming. So, yeah, we're gonna try to roll with that. I'll try to be as, I'll try to keep it as cool as I can. But I just wanted to say that I feel pent up today, and I'm not sure why. Tara says, I don't know what the package is. Maybe something that got stolen recently? Dad ordered. No one else is here to wait for it. Okay, I feel like that raises more questions than answers. So your dad ordered it and you don't know what it is? What do you mean something that got stolen recently? Like, how would you buy something that got stolen from online? Because I assumed that it was something you bought online, but maybe it could be something that someone you know is sending to you. So anyway, for those of you here watching right now, do you think that there are different ways of being moral or not? Let me just first pose that question to you. Or do you think there's only one way of being moral and people are really either just moral or immoral? Because I think that this is a really interesting idea that personally I've been interested in for many years. Now, I think that when it comes on the subject of morality, you know, I think when it comes to our society in general, I feel like the conventional wisdom or the default sort of view on this topic is that morality is kind of just like a binary or an on or off switch. Like, people are either good and they're not good. And moreover, I feel like in sort of the modern age of political polarization, I feel like not only are people only like good or not good, but there's a really common mentality that anyone who doesn't agree with me is automatically not good. It's not that they have a different definition of what morality is, they're just not good. And that's something I want to try to examine and maybe challenge today by doing this test and discussing it. Now, about the test itself, this test, I'm not sure on the exact timeline, but I do know that the theory the theory behind it is basically derived from the work of Jonathan Haidt, who is well known as the author of a book called The Righteous Mind on political psychology. He's we could say political psychologist, and as well as other contemporary psychologists. And the idea here is that in opposition to the more traditional idea that morality is just a simple on or off thing, they've actually identified 6 different dimensions of morality. So basically morality can be split up into 6 different mini principles or qualities or whatever you call them, or dimensions. And some people may, I don't know if excel is the right word, but basically some people prioritize some of these dimensions highly, and others not so much. And the opposite will be true for other people. And so basically, the idea is that the definition of morality actually varies a lot from person to person. And I think that when we start to think about people like that, it actually explains a lot about our society. So yeah, in a minute I'm going to begin the test. It's about 50 questions long, and is there anything else I need to say about it? It's 50 questions long, and here's another thing. I've actually taken it once before off stream, and I found it pretty interesting. I really enjoyed the questions, and that's why I decided to take it on stream again. I didn't save my results or anything, so on that topic, this is not the only version of the test available. There are actually others as well. I think the first version of this test I stumbled upon, I think probably up to 5 years ago. It was quite a while back. So this is an idea that's been on my radar for some time, but the different versions of the test, I've linked them all in the description. I've linked this one in the description, and I've linked 2 others. The others that I tried, the 2 others that I tried, they were all right, but I don't recall them being as good as this one. I think that this one is the most interesting and the best one so far, and that's why this is the one I decided to go with for today. And just before I start, I see Tara has commented a bunch. Moral relativism time. Basically, I mean, that might be a bit of an oversimplification, but that's sort of the general idea that it's referring to. I think eating meat is wrong. I think you meant to say I don't think it's immoral. Also don't think veganism is any more moral. If anything, the ones who hunt or raise their own animals are more moral. So sometimes I don't know what the word moral means. It's interesting that you bring it up, because if memory serves correctly, I think there is actually a question about veganism in the test. It's one of the many real-world case studies that will be examined as part of the test. Maybe I will save my own opinion on what you said for when we encounter that question in the test. For now, I think I'm just going to start, or I yap too much. Alright, let's see here. So, this Moral Foundations test, a 6-dimensional political psychology test inspired by the works of Jonathan Haidt. And you can see here that the 6 dimensions they've outlined are care, fairness, liberty, in-group, purity, and authority. Now, I would say that these dimensions remain pretty consistent across different versions of the test, such as the other ones that I've linked in the description. They don't really change too much. These ones are more or less always the same. And I'll read out this blurb here too. Moral Foundations theory, developed by psychologists Jonathan Haidt, Jesse Graham, and Craig Joseph, suggests that there are psychological foundations underlying human morality that are innate and universal to every civilization across history. According to the theory, people's moral judgments are based on 6 primary foundations: care, fairness, liberty, in-group loyalty, purity, and authority/order. These foundations represent evolved mechanisms that have helped humans navigate social interactions. Individuals, ideologies, and cultures Each prioritize these foundations differently, leading to variations in moral values and beliefs. For the aforementioned reasons, Haidt's theory does not recognize any set of moral beliefs as being objectively correct or inherently superior. In this morality test, you will be presented with a statement, and then will answer with your opinion on the statement from a range of strongly agree to strongly disagree, with each answer slightly affecting your scores. Your final scores will be shown as a percentage for each foundation, along with an explanation of each foundation's broader meaning down below. There are 48 questions in the test. The average time of completion is 15 minutes. Well, I think I'll probably take just a little bit longer than 15 minutes to finish it, considering I'm doing this on stream, and I'll probably end up giving some commentary on each question, and trying to get your opinions on each one as well. So, yeah, basically, it's half a repetition of what I already explained, but it also claims that these different foundations are more or less the result of evolutionary psychology, or basically, yeah, that they're something that we evolved with because it has served our survival as a species, which is something I might speak about more after I've done the test before ending stream. But without further ado, I'm going to press begin. Okay, here we go. Moral foundation says, okay, that part's the same. Number 1, it is morally wrong to mistreat one's own body or live unhealthily. So, off the bat, I can see how one could be coming at this with different values, which would in turn influence your stance on this issue. For instance, someone could be coming at this valuing autonomy, and they could make an argument like, well, it's my body, so I can do whatever I want with it. Other people don't get to have a say. Even if what I want to do to myself is unhealthy, or it's not good for society, or if it's, it's not something that other people are okay with or approve of, it's my body and my decision. Whereas it's also possible for someone to come at this saying, well, I think that we kind of have a moral obligation to live healthily, presumably because it eases the burden on other people. For instance, like if I make unhealthy choices and then I get sick and I need to go to the hospital, that will cost, taxpayer money, at least in countries like the one where I live, where healthcare is free. And so I can see the issue both ways. And, it's possible for there to be, exceptions and caveats as well, where someone could say, okay, well, usually I think you have an obligation to live healthfully, but maybe there are certain cases where you should have full autonomy over your body. But as a general rule, let's see what I would pick. I think I took this, the last time I took this test, I think was a few weeks ago, and I've probably already completely forgotten exactly what I chose for each question. And anyone in chat who has thoughts or opinions on these questions, feel free to share your thoughts and your personal answers as well. In my case, it is morally wrong to mistreat one's own body or live unhealthily. I'm gonna say slightly agree, because I think as a general rule, you should probably try again to not live irresponsibly. That's what I meant to say. So that you don't add an additional burden around the people around you. You don't get sick and then someone like your mom or your wife or something is forced to take care of you. That's no good. But I can also think of plenty of exceptions to the potential exceptions to that rule. So I'm gonna go with slightly agree. And the second question, men and women should have equal access to the same opportunities. Instinctively, I'm gonna answer strongly agree to this. I can't really think of any good reason why different people should not have access to the same opportunities. Like, I don't think that people should necessarily be guaranteed success, because having opportunities and having different like outcomes are two different things. So someone could, for instance, two people could have the same opportunity, and then one of them will wind up more successful than the other because one of them, you know, was more naturally talented and or worked harder, and so on and so forth. But I can't really think of any good arguments as to why different people should not have the same opportunities. But if you can think of any, feel free to mention them in chat. Next question. It should be considered unacceptable for leaders to negotiate with, and then in brackets, people you would personally consider as terrorists. So, not gonna lie, I am not the biggest geopolitics buff. So I feel like when it comes to something like this, it would help to have sort of off the top of my head examples of past examples of times when world leaders negotiated with terrorists and it either worked and went well or it didn't work. Myself, lacking such encyclopedic knowledge on the issue, I kind of have to just go purely from principle. I think that intuitively, I feel like any argument for maybe not any argument, but like most of the arguments that lean towards the disagree end of the spectrum, probably. I also just realized on OBS looking over that you can't see me open the drop down menus and highlight over the option. But terrorist agrees. Yeah, I'm thinking that any argument for that leans in the disagree direction would be coming from kind of like a deontologist thing of like, well, you just shouldn't argue with, or not argue, but you shouldn't negotiate with terrorists as a rule because they're bad people and we should like oppose them no matter what. And I can kind of get how there could be concerns that negotiating with terrorists could be like sort of like legitimizing them in a way. But I'm gonna go with, I think, slightly agree, because I think that I personally can think of potential scenarios where trying to strike a bargain with terrorists is the solution that helps save more human lives, for instance, than not negotiating with them, and I feel like that's more important than most other things. Tara says, I think if you want a politician that doesn't negotiate, then you probably like less democratic ones. Yeah, that sounds pretty fair. Okay, next question. It is important for societies to preserve pride in their traditions and heritage. This one is also kind of tricky for me because I think that traditions and heritage can be valuable. They can be useful and like valuable in the sense that ancient traditions are often useful. Maybe not in every way, maybe not all the time, like, you know, every day of our lives. But I think it would also be a waste to kind of like abandon and then lose that knowledge to time and to ancient history. That said, I think that there can also easily be too much of an emphasis on preserving traditions, especially ones that are overly rigid, don't really make sense anymore, and don't really fit with modern times. Kind of just for the sake of tradition. It's like, oh, it's, you know, it's just the way that things have always been done. So, but then I guess it also says preserve pride in their traditions and heritage, not necessarily preserve their traditions and heritage. So maybe I will say I don't know. I'm kind of like waffling between slightly agree and slightly disagree. Right. I'll say I think I'm leaning towards slightly disagree. I think the traditions and the traditions and the heritage are distinct from the pride, and I don't necessarily feel that it's important to preserve pride in those things. I think that they should be preserved if they're, you know, something that's potentially useful for future generations. But I don't know that the feeling of them is something that matters that much. Next question. It is wrong to treat someone differently solely based on their race, ethnicity, or caste. I think that's pretty fair to say. I think that's something I agree with pretty strongly. If we're going to treat somebody differently, there should be some kind of relevant difference. It shouldn't be based on things that are, you know, purely cosmetic. Nobody should be denied the ability to reproduce, even those with serious inheritable diseases. Okay, this one this one is very ethically dicey. Because we're basically getting into eugenics. Like, is it justified to prevent someone from reproducing if there's a very good chance of they're passing on a serious disease to their children, which, you know, will have kind of like knock-on effects for future generations. And I think in some ways it's a weird question, because maybe scroll the questions down. Okay, sorry. Oh, like that. Yeah, because the chat is actually, I'm gonna, now that thanks for mentioning that, I think I'm gonna move chat to the other. Maybe I'll move it above my head. That'll help, right? Anyway, as I was saying, eugenics. So, oh yeah, I was gonna say, I think something that comes to mind is that if somebody's serious inheritable disease was so serious that, like, the possibility, like the idea of preventing them from reproducing is up for the, like, is kind of like up for discussion, like it's a point of contention, like, to start with. To me, that suggests that they would not be able to reproduce in the first place, or would not be able to make the decision to reproduce. Like, for some, like, yeah. That's how I think about that. Like, for someone to, like, not be able to, or for someone to be that sick, like, I don't think they would be able to make that choice or to be physically able to reproduce. So it kind of is a weird question in a way. Leon says, honestly, this question is up to the person more than society or those without diseases. I mean, I think I see what you're saying, but the point of this, I think the point of this this test is it's asking our normative opinion on each one. Like, saying that, oh, it's, you know, up for individual people to decide, it's kind of like a cop-out. And I think that's more tantamount to saying that you agree. Whereas the other view is, I think what the test really wants to consider is, like, is this a thing that society should regulate or not? I want to say slightly agree, because I feel like if we just go with, if we disagree, then that kind of opens the not bar, but yeah, it kind of opens up the debate on eugenics. Like, okay, so who then is deciding to deny people the ability to reproduce? And that system will almost certainly be exploited to target certain inconvenient groups of people. Is that something that's happened in the past? Number 7, it is important for professional environments to uphold formality and diplomatic etiquette. I have mixed feelings on this as well, because I feel like I've definitely been in environments where either like I've been in environments where I felt like things were too stuffy, as well as ones where I think things were too casual and might have benefited from more formalities isn't the right word, but more structure maybe. But I don't know that this is asking about structure. I think from the verbiage of formality and diplomatic etiquette, I think it's more just talking about like politeness and social rituals. So we have to think like, for example, when you're meeting like the queen, is it important to, you know, talk to the queen the way you're supposed to talk to her? I don't know anything about meeting the queen, but you know, I know that there's some sort of very strict, like, I don't know, like etiquette, like that's you're supposed to follow when you meet someone like the queen, and as well as like a lot of other like, you know, dignitaries, or not just that, but also like maybe less intensely. Think about like your workplace, for example. I think in a lot of places of work, you're probably expected to be at least a little bit polite and respectful to your boss and talk to them in a certain way, and you know, maybe not say things to them that you would feel comfortable saying to your other coworkers. And like, how important is that? Like, how important is that mere expectation of politeness and the, you know, social etiquette? I'm leaning towards slightly disagree, because I feel like I can think of more examples where that hurts than helps. I don't know where, I can't think of a lot of situations where I think enforcing a very strict social hierarchy like really helps. At least from my experience, I think that, well, not just experience, but you know, the intuitions that I've gained from my experiences, I think that I think it just generally leads to better organizations and work environments when the hierarchy is as close to flat as realistically possible, and there's not a lot of like standing on ceremony. I think that's how I feel about that. Viking says, ooh, I did this test. Yeah, you were the one that linked the I think you posted a screenshot of your results in my Discord server, so that's how I found out about this version. And I actually like it better than the past versions of the test that I found years ago. I actually took it off stream a few weeks ago, but I didn't save a screenshot because I actually enjoyed the quiz so much, or quiz test, whatever. Yeah, I enjoyed it so much, and I thought that the questions were so interesting. I was like, why not actually save this and take it on stream instead, and then I'll reveal my results to the world then. Number 8, people should always strive to reciprocate any favor they willingly accept from others later on, even when doing so is not expected. I want to choose agree for this one, and the reason for this is that, first of all, let's maybe like give an example to show what this question is asking. So let's say that there's like a hypothetical example where my friend Axion gives me a no, actually instead of a hypothetical example, we can go with a An example that actually happened, even I think that's even better. Because I struggle coming up sometimes with hypotheticals. So this past Christmas, it wasn't for Christmas, but around Christmas, I bought a Pingcord stream alert slot for my friend and fellow philosophy VTuber Axion. And unfortunately, it costed a little bit of money to purchase an extra slot on Pingcord. Because normally, I think each account comes with only one free stream alert slot by default, and if you want another one in Pingcord, it costs money, and I think it works out to about, I think it's like under $15 US, so it worked out to like almost $20 Canadian, and I bought it because I'm not like, you know, like my husband and I aren't like flat broke or anything, so you know, I decided it was worth it. We stomached the fee, and that was that. I didn't tell Axion about it immediately. I didn't go up to him and try to like guilt him, be like, hey, I bought this thing that benefits you and it costed money, like pay me back. Like I didn't mention it until I think like about a week later, when I found that the extra slot didn't work, and I vented about it in my server. I was like, I paid $20 for this, why doesn't it work? And then because I posted about it in public, Axion saw and he DM'd me saying like, Tia, you know, I saw that the slot costed money, and you know, I didn't know that it did. I think I asked him if he wanted me to set up a slot for him. I just didn't mention that it it costed money. And when he found out, he was like, oh, like I didn't know, like please let me, you know, pay you back somehow, either in cash or maybe I can buy you a gift equivalent in price to the stream alert. And then I took him up on his offer. I didn't want to accept cash, but I took up his offer on the gift, and he sent me a Christmas gift to my house. It was the book Justice by I think the author's name is Michael Sanders, because Axion knows that I I have a strong sense of justice. Oh, hi Web. My Web says, my worry would be that feeling obligated to reciprocate could be easily exploited by others. Can you provide an example of, like, an example that would show this taking place? Because to my thinking at least, and obviously, you know, I'm coming at this from my own sort of like personal moral angle. If you like, what is the problem? Like, what is the problem if you only reciprocate favors that are or maybe a better way of putting that is, what is the problem if you reciprocate a favor that you got in such a way that the exchange is equal on each side, so nobody is being exploited? Like, if I buy something for Axion that is worth $20, and then he buys me a gift that is worth $20, and it's the same on each side, then at least in that case, it's not clear to me that such a system or dynamic would be vulnerable to exploitation. Web says, I think my family, I could trust enough that I'd reciprocate, but like salesmen often give like candy or a gift to get you to feel obligated to buy their product. Okay, but like, I don't know if I would call that a favor though. It's obviously bait. Like, it's not done in good faith. Like, so I mean, I guess it is possible to interpret the question that way, but like, intuitively, I just interpret it as like, you know, if someone gives you like a favor in good faith, like they're not, it's like, I don't think that they're should be a societal, just like a broad societal norm to pay back favors that like that are like done with, you know, dishonest intentions, because yeah, then it could lead to scenarios where somebody does you a favor which is not something that actually really benefits you or something that you actually need. Like in the case of like salesman giving you an unwanted gift or maybe like a piece of candy, like you didn't ask for that, it doesn't really help you, so should there really be an obligation to pay them back? I don't think so. Whereas in the case of Axion, buying the stream alert slot for Axion, I think that by his own judgment, that was something that benefited him, because it meant that people would be able to catch his streams more, and by his like own sort of like determination, he felt obligated to pay me back. Whereas I think if he instead judged that, well, this, you know, she did it of her own accord, and, you know, it's not like I don't have like a moral obligation to, you know, pay her back, because like I don't really, it's kind of optional and doesn't really benefit that much. I feel like that also would have been fine, because I didn't do it with the the expectation to be paid back. Leon says it was an alert, so his biggest never missed a stream. I mean, okay, you've figured me out, but like, is that wrong? Okay, anyway, next question. Number 9. It is shameful to purchase something purely on its luxury status or trendiness. Okay, guys, what do you think about this? I think that even though this is a simple question, I think that we could have a lot of diverging views about this if we canvass different groups in society. Webb says, I think it depends on the question, but as long as the person receiving a gift is wise about, it's fine. Oh, sorry, I think I'm a little confused by the phrasing of your message. I wouldn't shame, but I'm not a fan of it. Purchase. I don't think the question is asking, should we shame people who splurge? Who should we shame people, like actively shame people who are materialistic? I think it's asking like or maybe that's actually not such a stretch. Let me think about that. Because I suppose my interpretation was, should the people doing that feel ashamed about doing that? And then I guess the other interpretation is, should we as a society make that a norm, that spending it extravagantly is shameful. It's kind of rough, I think, because like with many of these other questions, I feel like I can see it both ways. For instance, when it comes to... Okay, I know, like... Okay, first of all, there's a difference between buying something that happens to be expensive, but that you actually need, versus buying something that you don't need just because of the price tag attached to it, because you want clout, like you want the I don't know, like the clout or whatever that comes with being able to say like, I to own this thing, I have the cash, I have like the wherewithal to afford this, you know, useless expensive thing, and whereas like all those poor people, they can't. So and then but I feel like on the other side, like, how far does it go? Like, does it extend to buying clothes that are maybe more expensive than just rags because you also want to be stylish? in that case, you're probably not buying it purely for the luxury status. It's like, let's say if you actually need new clothes and you're just buying ones that happen to be a little more expensive than absolutely necessary, is that also shameful? Like, I feel like it's kind of like where does it end? It's kind of like a slippery slope where you could say like, oh, if it's shameful, then is it shameful that we just have more than we need at all and aren't just all like wearing rags and like eating like the cheapest food? Because that's something that comes to mind for me. Webb says, sorry, we're awful grammar. It's fine, no big deal. Basically, I think the questions are vague, but I kinda ended up agreeing with you. Okay. Yeah. So about this one, luxury status or trendiness. I think whatever I pick, it's either gonna be slightly agree or slightly disagree. I feel like this might be a popular, an unpopular opinion in today's capitalistic society, but because I know there are a lot of people who would justify this and say, well, it's my money, I can spend it however I want. There's nothing shameful in that. You know, like, why are you like trying to like restrict the way I spend my money? It's an argument coming from a place of like liberty, but I'm gonna say slightly agree, where like what I mean is I think that it is shameful to make like really exorbitant purchases only for the price tag associated, not because it's something you need, like it's only for the purpose of flaunting your wealth. But buying something like treating yourself with like a nice food or nice clothing is I think fine, and that's different. I think to me that's like different from like having excess. Like having some slightly nice clothes in your closet is, I think, not on the same level as having like 10 mansions, for example. Like I don't think we can lump those two things in the same category of badness. Hi Ari, hi Tia, hi chat. I hope I didn't miss too much. We're still only on the 9th question out of like almost 50 questions. If you like, I can scroll up to the ones we've covered so far, so you can read them, and if you think any are interesting and have any thoughts on each one, feel free to provide them in chat, because I am curious about what other people think, and we've had already some interesting discussion. Leon says, I for one will never spend the silly prices on Dubai chocolate. I don't actually know how expensive Dubai chocolate is. Yeah, but I feel like that's an example. I think like that might be a good example of I think like what this question is trying to like point out or get at, if I'm understanding the context correctly. So the way I'm understanding this is like Dubai chocolate is expensive in part just because it's Dubai chocolate, because it has like the, not like brand name, but it has like the special, I don't know, status. It's just like considered prestigious, independent of its actual quality. Like the price does not come from the fact that it's like more delicious. It's actually better quality and more delicious than regular chocolate. It's just like an arbitrary marker of status and wealth. And I think that kind of spending should be subject to criticism. Whereas paying more money for clothes that are actually better made, and than more cheaply made clothes, I think is justifiable. Okay, wait. Yeah, so for Ari, I'll just scroll down slowly now. Hi, have a nice stream. Oh, hi there. I take it you can't stick around, but still, thank you for dropping by. Leon says, I also love when it's trendy to buy clothes like trash and unprofessional. We're not here to judge people's bad fashion sense, even though I think that that's how it happens. It's a matter of opinion, you know. Web says you can also take the quiz while the stream is going and compare results. True. Yeah, you guys are free to do that if you like. You can always post your results in my Discord server if you want a place to post and share them with others. So, alright. Number 10. Large societies need hierarchy and established leaders to function cohesively. I should probably answer these questions a bit faster because it's been almost an hour lately. We're gonna be here like 5 hours at this rate. I want to say slightly agree. I think that, and it's not because like I'm like a dirty authoritarian. I consider myself like a relatively like liberal person. Like I don't mean necessarily in the sense of being like politically liberal, but like in the sense of like I dislike, you know, authoritarianism and tyranny. Having said that, I've thought about this issue a bunch before. In the context of like wondering about like is it possible to design a better political system than the kind of like democracies that we see in our world right now, and what would that look like? And I came to the conclusion that I think that having like government having government and leaders is something that's just sort of like having a power structure is something that is kind of like a necessary evil of living in huge nations of millions and millions of people. The only way that you could realistically have a sort of like a flat hierarchy is to have like really small, live in really small communities, I think, of maybe like a few dozen people at most. At that size, I think it's still possible to have for everyone to have like the same amount of power and to decide everything democratically. But we just once you get to the size of like hundreds of people in one community, and you cannot like make progress or make decisions unless somebody's in charge and they just have more power than the others. And so I know that these days there are a lot of people out there who are really anti-government. You know, they may be there are different sort of like movements that fall under this umbrella, like anarchism and stuff like that. But I'm pretty skeptical of those movements. I think that if we want to live in large countries of millions of people rather than just go back to living in, you know, tribes of 30, then having like presidents and prime ministers or something like that is, I think, a reality that we have to accept. And what we should do instead is think about how we can refine that system to be as efficient and corruption-free as possible. But we're not going to do away with leaders entirely. Ari says, thanks for the recap. These are interesting questions. Some of these I haven't seen on similar other tests, and that's refreshing. Yeah, I thought this version of the test was the most interesting out of all the versions that I've stumbled upon over the years, and that's why I chose this one to do on stream. All right. Okay, casual sex between people who are not in committed romantic relationships should be heavily discouraged. I want to say strongly disagree, because I just don't think that this is my business, and I don't think it's something that directly has a negative impact on society either. Like, you could say, like, I think any argument that you make against this would be kind of like hyperbolic, or like you like I feel like they would look like stuff like okay, well, if people are allowed to have casual sex outside of marriage, then they might like not get married as much, and like, you know, we want people to get married so then they have children and it's like what they're supposed to do with their lives. And or you could say like, oh, but casual sex is more likely to lead to like children outside of unwanted children outside of marriage. And but like you know, here, like, for one, I mean, there's, you know, like things like birth control for things like that, but also, like, I don't know, I don't think I would say that, I feel like I don't know, I'm not sure how to put this point, but like, I think as someone who has like never really had casual sex, like I waited for marriage, I still think that looking at people in general, I think that casual sex, like sex is just too much of a good to restrict on the basis of like whether you were in a lawful marriage or not. Or I mean, I guess it didn't mention marriage specifically, it was more like committed romantic relationships, but like I still don't think that we should restrict like people having like one night stands and stuff like that, because I think that like the potential benefit of like not having like children outside of wedlock and that kind of thing is like not enough to justify you know, restricting people's sexual autonomy. 12. It is important for families to stick together and uphold unity even when its members do not along. I want to say strongly disagree, because like I think that this is a very, very old-fashioned and kind of like authoritarian mindset that and like there are a lot of cultures where this belief is very much the norm and in vogue. For example, my family's culture. What I would say about this is that it comes from older times when being loyal to your family could literally be like a matter of life and death for the family. There were societies like that, and they are often let's say they are societies that developed collectivist cultural values. But from my own like personal experience, I think that this kind of idea, while it might have lent itself to survival in ancient times, and in certain environments, I think that nowadays what this kind of norm does is just basically make it hard for people to speak out about abuse and happening within their own families and stuff like that, because in reality, not everybody is lucky enough to be born with a great family, blood family, that is, whether that means parents or siblings or other extended relatives. So I don't find it like fair or correct to have this norm where people are just expected to be like automatically loyal to whoever their family happens to be, even though that's not something they had any control over. At least that, I think, that's what I would say about blood family, which is what I think this question is referring to. I will offer a caveat that when it comes to your family of choice, this might be against certain people's thinking, but I would say that you have a stronger obligation to your family of choice, such as your spouse and your children, than your blood family, because since you chose to like marry and like be committed to your spouse or like long-term partner, and you chose to sire your children, they rely on you, and like and you had choice over like you have some choice over who your who your spouse is and what they're like. You don't directly control what your children are like, but in that case they're just completely dependent on you. So I think you do have a moral obligation to stick together with them, at least while they're dependent on you. But yeah, all in all, I'm gonna go with strongly disagree. Number 13, a society imbued with divinity, belief in religion and or spirituality is preferable to an atheistic one. Okay, this one I can also see being kind of dicey, because I feel like I can see both sides of the argument here, where if we say a society imbued with divinity, does that mean like state religion? Like, does that mean that that's something that's kind of like actively enforced. I don't know, it's kind of weird because I feel like neither of these things are necessarily inherently good. Like, I think we can all think of examples of societies where that are largely religious that aren't fair or pleasant places to live. But at the same time, I don't think that a society being atheistic necessarily makes it better either. I think that there's for me, I feel like for me when it comes to like religion and versus atheism, for me it's kind of like a golden mean thing where having some degree of spirituality is kind of essential to being like a well-adjusted human being. And that doesn't necessarily entail practicing a particular religion. But I think people who are very fundamentally religious, as well as people who are kind of like hard atheists to the point of like practically being nihilists, are both of those kinds of people, I think, are, I don't know what word to use here. I just don't think either of those are the ideal modes of being. So I could just leave this as no opinion either way. 14, when raising a child, it would be preferable for them to end up kind and lowly than successful but cold-hearted. I must say agree. Not to say that material success is not important whatsoever, but I think the problem with the world as it stands is people who are successful but cold-hearted and not people who are kind and lowly. So, because like a person who is successful but cold-hearted will just have more power to do bad things, basically, and that's my concern. Plus, such people are often not really happy on the inside. Anyway, even if unless you just equate having more wealth to being more fulfilled. But we were having a discussion like this a few weeks back on my server, where I was saying that that's sort of a mistake that a lot of people make in our society. I feel like I personally feel like a parent's main job is to make sure their child grows up happy and, with self-love and, having good principles and values, not necessarily to groom them into, becoming wealthy and having a certain kind of career. I think all that stuff is, while sometimes well-intentioned, it can do more harm than good, even when the child, quote-unquote, succeeds at that kind of goal and meets the parents' expectations. 15, it is never justifiable to invade and militarily occupy another country that has not harmed or threatened another. Man, I'm starting to lose steam even though we're only on question 15 out of like 48. I want to say, like, I think strongly agree. Like, it's hard for me to think of many examples where invading and occupying like another country is really what's best in the long term. And that may be strange for me to say because I think some, if not all of you, know that I have a Vietnamese heritage. And Vietnam, if you weren't familiar, within the last 200 years, was colonized by basically the French and the U.S., by France and the U.S., just to keep the grammar consistent there. And a lot of the things that Vietnamese people enjoy today and that are a part of Vietnamese culture actually come from the fact that Vietnam was colonized. Like, for example, a lot of different foods actually, including pho and Vietnamese like sub sandwiches, the banh mi, and The story is that pho, which is like a noodle soup for anyone who doesn't know, actually comes from French like pot au feu, hence the name pho. That's just like that's just the way Vietnamese people pronounce it. And then also, what else? I think maybe also coffee, Vietnamese coffee. A lot of and like basically, yeah, like if so basically it's kind of weird when you think about it, because if Vietnam were never colonized by France, then we wouldn't have like pho, which is like one of like the most like amazing dishes ever in my opinion, or banh mi, and probably some other stuff as well. And yet people, at least definitely some people suffered under colonial rule. So is it like, so does getting some delicious food like justify overall the colonialization? Like, is it a net benefit? And I want to say that it's probably not a benefit. And it's not that like, what am I trying to say here? Like, it's not that I don't care for pho and like banh mi, and it wouldn't make a difference to it if it went away. It's just that I don't think that such like, what do you call them? I don't know, such like fusion dishes are like exclusively the result of colonialization. Like, I think, at least in theory, we could have gotten those things through rather than colonialization. That's a hard word to say. Just like regular trade, like countries kind of like meeting with each other and trading and engaging in cultural exchange on equal footing with one another. Well, hi Asher, it's banh mi. You like banh mi? I take it that you do. Wait, actually, since you live in Toronto, right? You live in the Greater Toronto area. Do you is there a particular place that you like to get banh mi from? Would it happen to be there's one chain, I think, that has the location. I think it has like, the main location is in like downtown. It's in like Spadina. It's in like Chinatown, and then there's another one up north, I think, further north. But the chain I'm thinking of is Banh Mi Wing Hung, and that one's, I think, pretty infamous among the Vietnamese community in Toronto, because they don't accept debit, right, Leon? They don't accept a card, they only accept cash, and it's sort of like just like a mom and pop thing. It's just like really small, but the food there is just really wholesome and authentic and good. I haven't eaten banh mi in years, ever since I basically developed a gluten allergy. But there's like a funny story I could tell about this. So I think after I started dating Leon, and we would go to like banh mi Wing Hung to eat, like buy banh mi together. He started out, they have like different flavors there, right? Ostensibly different types of banh mi you can get. So he started out getting like, I think, like barbecue flavor usually. But the thing is, I grew up exclusively eating what you would call cold cuts. Like in Vietnamese, it's called like banh mi thap cam, so just like assorted like cold cuts. And to me, that's like the definitive banh mi. That's like all I ate. That's the real banh mi. So like I pointed it out. I like called Leon out. I was like, you're eating like banh mi wrong. You're supposed to get and then, I think he did eventually I think he eventually was like peer pressured and like switched over to ordering cold cuts instead. But then it's kind of ironic because like now I can't eat it no matter what, so shaming me at being white and like barbecue. Okay, anyway, back to the test. 16. Providing negative feedback to peers should typically be done sparingly and politely to not offend with bluntness I don't think that this is a moral issue. I think that if you have negative feedback for people, here's my opinion. I think that if you have feedback for people, whether it's negative or not, you should at least let people know that you have feedback for them, and then maybe give them the option to, you know, like ask you to talk about it. I think that it can be rude to provide unsolicited feedback, but I think it can also be rude, if not even like worse, if not like immoral, to withhold feedback from someone if it's feedback about, especially if it's about something like really important that could have really helped them in their life, like feedback on, you know, becoming a better person or something like that. So, and then if you do have feedback, and then I think that the way, like, giving feedback politely is a good idea. If you want people to listen to your feedback, but I don't know that it's like necessarily like a moral thing. So I would say slightly disagree because of that, but like I don't know that the question is worded in a way that kind of makes sense. Like it's not worded in a moral way. 17. Certain punishments are so cruel and violent that even the most evil and dangerous individuals do not deserve them. For this, I'm gonna say strongly agree, because of course, at least some of you who know me know that I very much am a proponent of unconditional love, and as well as fairness-based ethics. To me, what that means is that like justice is not about revenge, you know, making people suffer just for the hell of it, even when it doesn't lead to any real benefit, is not moral in my eyes. And so I certainly can think of certain ways of, you know, for example, torturing people that are so excessive and so cruel that there is no benefit to administering them to anybody, even the people that we find the most abhorrent. It is probably better, even in those cases, to simply, you know, lock those people up. Number 18, society should encourage children to be fully obedient to their parents and defer to their decisions until they reach material maturity. No. No, I mean, some of these like aren't. I don't know. Like some of these, I mean, I don't want to say that they're not like. How do I say this? I think obviously people who highly prioritize kind of like authority or hierarchy as a moral value will be bigger proponents of this. The problem that I'm thinking of is that as someone who knows a lot about like psychology and including child psychology, as that's something I've been interested in many years, I think like children, for anyone who doesn't know, it's like children naturally try to become like more independent and want to like become more independent and like want to make their own decisions and like not just listen to their parents all the time, more and more as they grow older. And research has shown that methods of parenting that actually try to deny these freedoms and deny these like this kind of like development is actually harmful for kids. So it's like not a matter of opinion, you know? It's not like, oh, like whether you're like a more liberal parent or a more authoritarian one, it's just up to you. You can do whatever you like. It's like, no, actually being too strict on your kids. Research has proven that doesn't lead to much good. So then it kind of becomes less of like a question about moral intuitions and more a question about like empiricism. Theoretically, I think that there could be ways of, I don't know, maybe that there could be another way of like framing the sort of like the moral tension that kind of like isn't anti-science. Like, it's hard to think of an example, but like what if I don't know. I maybe it says a lot that I can't really think of any examples. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe or maybe it's just because I'm the kind of person that I think free will is pretty important, and I don't care that much about hierarchy. Question 19. By the way, I know like chat has been a bit quiet, but I just a reminder that even if I'm not like explicitly asking you guys about your thoughts, like do feel free to chime in at any time. But if I realize it's also possible that the questions are kind of just like not that, or maybe like vague or like not that engaging. 19. There is no end goal noble enough and no circumstance desperate enough to ever justify directly sacrificing the lives of unwilling innocents. So this is basically the trolley problem. That's the first thing that popped in my mind. Because I think what this is basically asking is like is it okay to sacrifice, I don't know, like 1,000 innocent people to save 10,000 other innocent people? Just like for the sheer fact that those 1,000 people just did not, you know, are innocent and did not consent to being sacrificed. Oh, hey Berserker. We're like almost halfway through the test. I'm gonna did what I did for Ari and scroll back from the start so you can see the questions that you've missed, in case you want to provide your input on any of them. I'm gonna scroll through the list slowly. But glad you could join us. I hope you're having a good day. Yeah, at this rate, I'll be able to finish within like 3 hours, hopefully. All right, I'm gonna say, what do you guys think about this? I think this one is actually hard. I'm really curious to see what other people would say about this one. Because I can see it both ways, where like, yeah, technically, if you're just looking at like, you know, kind of like utility, it's better to sacrifice 1,000 innocent people to save 10,000 innocent people. But that also sets a very dangerous, I feel like, anti-liberty precedent, where, okay, where do you draw the line on like, it's like, do you really want to live in a society where like 1,000, like where innocent people can be sacrificed, like like just because like their government says like they have to be, cause that really does set a dangerous precedent. Or maybe it's kind of like less, maybe like another variation of this. I think another variation of this that I think that is more intuitively analogous than the trolley problem is like the alternative to the trolley problem. That's like it's like the organ donation variation, where it's like, is it okay to rip out the organs of like one healthy guy to save like 5 sick guys? And it's like, and it's and I feel like it's not, because what gives you the authority to go up to that like one sick guy and decide that like, we decide that you're gonna be sacrificed? Like, that just seems so anti-free will and anti-liberty, that like, and then it's even, I think it's even worse if you just like magnify that on like to the scale of a whole country or society and not just like one like hospital or whatever. I would disagree with that. You would disagree that there is no end goal noble enough? Like, just to be clear, I'm generally against sacrifice. It says no circumstance desperate enough. I feel like I can easily put circumstances desperate enough to justify sacrifice. It's pretty much that question. Yeah, like the organ donation one. Yeah, like that's what I was thinking of. Like, or let's sort of like try to like transfer this into like a nationwide scale, like a hypothetical featuring a nationwide scale. Like, for example, what if, I don't know. Okay, let's say that like I don't know, like a natural disaster destroyed 10,000 people's homes, and like now their like lives are at risk. Like the natural disaster put like 10,000 people's lives at risk, and then the government decides to go to a different community of like 1,000 people, and they say like, okay, now you guys, if you guys just give up your houses and your safety and your like livelihoods, then those 10,000 other people can be saved. Is it okay for the government to go and do that? Because those are two sort of separate dimensions to this kind of like situation, right? One, there's the outcome, like the outcome of 10,000 people being saved is like good, but then like, is it okay for that good to be achieved through a body like the government or some kind of authority to be violating people's like fundamental rights, to, you know, take things away from them even though they didn't do anything to deserve it? And I just don't think so. Because it's one thing if 10,000 people are at risk because of like a natural disaster, which is, you know, like that's not like, it's not a human it's not like it's like a man-made form of suffering, you know, things like that. Just, you know, it's unfortunate, but it happens. But I think, to me, like, other humans going up to you and like denying your rights is different. Like, those two things are different. Kind of reminds me of the one vault from Fallout where they have to sacrifice one guy every year to keep living. I'm not like completely familiar with Fallout. I know Leon has told me a few things about the TV show, which is apparently pretty good. Why do they have to do that? Why do they have to sacrifice one guy? That's pretty interesting. Is it like hey, we're gonna harvest his organs, or it's a hard choice, but ultimately I think it's for the best if it's a scenario where the sacrifice of few saves many. I would say in that hypothetical, no, that would not be justified. I'm curious if you have any hypotheticals where you think it would be justified, because I feel like it's one thing to say like, oh, I think in theory it could be justified, and yet not actually to be able to come up with any actual counter examples, because that I find that a lot less compelling. I don't find that very compelling in a philosophical discussion. Asher says, I have no opinion either way. I can understand someone on both sides. Yeah, a lot of these questions are just like, if you are able to see both sides, probably for the better. If you're like coming to some of these questions thinking like, there's only like one right answer, everyone on the other side like must be, you know, like evil and unreasonable, then that's probably not very good. Leon says, the vaults in Fallout were all secretly experiments by the rich on the masses. Okay, that sounds like a spoiler. Not that I care, like, on the basis that it's a spoiler, because I wasn't planning to engage with Fallout, but it's very out of context. there's a huge gap between they have to sacrifice one guy every year to keep living and experiments by the rich on the masses. Unless you're saying like the experiment was like a psychosocial one, like if the rich went like, hey, we're so bored, what if we just like locked all of the poor people in this, sort of made them think that they were in this situation, like see how they behave. Berserker says, what if you had to kill an innocent person or a bomb would blow up the earth? We are trying to find extreme examples. Oh. Yeah, I guess you're right. Like, yeah, like, I guess, yeah, it's if you want to like jump to like extremely like unrealistic thought experiments, then yeah, I see your point. Like, but the problem is one that's like anti-liberty. Like, why? I guess. Okay, like let's explore this a little further. This is really interesting. Okay, let's say aliens will blow up the earth unless we choose one tribute to kill. Okay? We pick one fellow human being to kill. to save the aliens. Well, what if okay, let's how do we pick who the tribute is, assuming nobody volunteers? Like, what if nobody, like, if at least one person volunteered, that would make it a lot easier. But for the purposes of this question stipulates that the sacrifices are unwilling and innocent. So what if nobody volunteers? Then how do you pick who gets to go? And like, can we live with that blood in their hands? Like, can we live as a society, even after the alien threat has been thwarted? Can we live knowing like, oh shoot, we are a society that is like willing to like sacrifice like unwilling people to get ahead? It's not much of a spoiler, it's very obvious. No end goal noble enough. It's a sociological experiment to see at what point they refuse to cooperate. In lore, that happens at the point where like 3 or 4 of them or something are still alive and the truth gets revealed. Only 3 or 4? That sounds pretty bad. Someone would. No, but that's not the point. Okay, maybe if this were a real thing that happened, somebody would. I think that if that happened in reality, I think like we'd see probably like millions, thousands if not millions of people volunteering. You know, people from certain backgrounds and people of certain personalities. But for the purposes of this thought experiment, we have to assume that nobody volunteers. That is like baked into the way that the question is like structured. I would argue the most fair way would be a random lottery. Yeah, that's a good point. If it was a lottery, then it would diminish, I think, some of the fault and blame of the sacrificer, let's say, because if it's a random lottery, then you can kind of just say like, well, it's like a civic good, right? You know, it's kind of like paying your taxes. It's for the greater good, except that this is sort of one responsibility that we can't like divvy out along like the general population. So you can't have like a whole bunch of people like paying a small amount of taxes. It's kind of like, well, just one person has to sacrifice their life. Because else their sacrifice meant nothing. Okay. This is interesting. We have some people in chat who are very strong convictions when it comes to this problem. I'm actually curious. Are any of you guys taking this test concurrently with me? Because if you didn't know, the link is in the description, so you can do that and we could all post our results on Discord later. Number 20, responsible citizens who are not members of the military or police force should have legal access to basic firearms for self-defense. What do you guys think of this? Especially considering I know that there are some Americans in chat, and I'm not American, so I think that one's nationality and cultural background can certainly affect your stance on this. Berserker says, plus most people die for nothing. The person who died to save humanity would be a hero forever. Well, I don't know, like that's true, but I feel like that is still tying into the idea that someone will volunteer, whereas for all intents of, like, for the intents and purposes of the question, let's say that the idea of dying for the greater good is not something that anybody is interested in over living. I just said, it would be the least productive member of society or a world leader to avoid insulting the aliens if they had to not choose a random lottery. Yeah, it's probably, that's like, I actually did think of like least productive member of society though, even though that is like kind of like, it's like kind of like sad and like eugenics adjacent. Like, it also brings to mind the tortured baby experiment, because that's a thought experiment that I think about a lot. What's the link to this? It's in the description. Strong disagree on question 20. Strong agree. There are, inside you there are 2 Americans. Now, I'm not American, so I could be biased, but I will tell you that I lean towards disagree. And this is based on my the conclusions that I formed from, I don't know, being exposed to American media and news over the years. Well, because I know that the idea, like the justification, like the Second Amendment and all that stuff, like the justification for like normal people having firearms is like, okay, but what if like it's like that talking one, the only thing that can stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. But I don't see that often playing out in real life. I think what happens in real life is that a lot of people every year get shot mistakenly. And then like how often does a good guy with a gun actually stop a bad guy with a gun? It feels like people get shot mistakenly even more often than that, which makes me think that it's not a very good justification after all. To me it feels like on a kind of like a cultural and a sort of like social emotional level, the justification comes from a distrust, like you could say individualism, like an individualistic culture, and just distrust of government and a desire to rely on the self, like basic, because the alternative to having firearms for self-defense is just basically trusting in institutions and trusting that the police or whoever are going to be there for you when you need it, as opposed to taking matters into your own hands. And I feel like a lot of Americans don't have that kind of trust, and it's sort of like baked in on kind of like kind of just a cultural level if you're in the States. You don't hear real life. Leon says real life isn't an action movie. Asher says you don't hear about it because it's not sensational. Wouldn't a good guy successfully killing a bad guy with a gun be sensational though? Like, are you trying to say that we don't hear about it? Like, good guys kill bad guys with guns all the time and we just don't hear about it because it's not sensational? Because I think that would be sensational. I think especially because that's still such a dominant view in American society. I think that if that happened more often, we would hear about it. News outlets would love to run the story. Good guy kills bad guys with guns. Like, see, guns are good. Like, there are a lot of I feel like there are news outlets and audiences and elite interests out there that would love it if it actually worked that way. And yeah, Berserker says it basically never happens. Yeah, so once again, inside you, the duality of Americans. I'm gonna say disagree rather than strongly disagree, because I can see the justification for self-defense, but I just don't think that it pans out or works out often enough in real life to justify it more strongly. Ari says it actually does happen over where I live, not super regularly, but probably once every few months. That's really interesting. I would love to know more about why that works where you are and not in the States. Or maybe it's more of a proportional thing where maybe where you live, people don't get killed mistakenly by guns as much. So then that makes it feel like the cases where the guns actually shoot the right target, they seem more common in comparison. You know what I'm saying? Tara says, we've got violence, danger, sex, and drugs. Oh. Posted some lyrics and it's awesome because all of it's real. We do the illusion of news while you think you're choosing the views that you feel. Where's that from? It's got flow to it. When seconds matter, the police are only minutes away. Okay, yeah, but that there's also the risk that you could accidentally shoot your grandson. I literally one of the many stories like this I've heard over the years. I think this one was was a house at night in Florida, and an old guy was sleeping in his bed and he hears some ruckus downstairs that he assumes is a robber. And he grabs a shotgun off the wall and shoots the dude, and it turns out to be his own teenage grandson stumbling home drunk from a party, and he just murdered his grandson. And if he just didn't do that, his grandson would be alive. And I mean, I guess here it's possible to make the argument that it's not just guns, not just like basic firearms that are the issue. It's the fact that the people in the United States are just so trigger happy. It's not just that they have access to guns. It's just they have the delusion. They have like the like a hero complex. They have the complex that makes them go like they have the fantasy of being the good guy with the gun. So whenever they find themselves in a situation that feels like it could be like a good guy with a gun versus bad guy with a gun situation, they instantly assume that they're the hero in an action movie and act rationally. And that's why tragedy happens. Channel 5 News by Bo Burnham. Oh, thanks. Okay, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna say, for all the Americans who think that like the Second Amendment is super great, I'm just gonna say I come from not a country that is like not the US, where most people like where we don't have the Second Amendment, and I enjoy my quality of life here, and it's the same with many other countries around the world. So I really have to question the notion that guns serve some sort of like having giving citizens access to guns is some results in some sort of like fundamental, like, I don't know, because other countries exist and that doesn't happen. People are still fine. 21. Those who have earned large amounts of wealth should be obligated to provide some of it towards public welfare and or less fortunate members of their society. Yeah. Should I say like agree? For me, it's like this is like between agree or strongly agree. Anything like slightly agree or below is like too weak for me. And the question is even saying just some of it. It's not even saying most of it or half of it. It's just some, which we can assume to mean half, like less than half of their wealth. So I think saying strongly agree is fair. I think that, I mean, of course, I know that some people are coming from this more like an individual rights mindset. So once again, it kind of brings to mind the question from earlier about like, where was it? It's shameful to purchase something purely based on its luxury status or trendiness, where they say, well, it's my money, I can spend it however I want, why are you can't take my money. Those of you who may be coming here from the red/blue button debate that went on a while back and that I did a stream on, I'm the kind of person that believes pretty strongly in social responsibility, collective responsibilities, or social obligations and things like that. Yeah, and I think caring for people in your society who lack basic rights is one. Now, this question, it's kind of, in some ways, it's like burying the lead, because I feel like in a just society, people would not be able to earn like supremely large amounts of wealth in the first place. Hence, they would not be obligated to give it away because they don't have it in the first place. But I guess if you have a situation where, like maybe our current society where that's already happened, then yeah, like I on principle find it wrong that some people can have like 10 mansions when you know that there are like starving children out there, and you know that those children didn't do anything to like deserve starving because they're children. And I'm speaking, and granted, I could be biased since I used to be one of those starving children many years ago. Fortunately, I no longer am. But yeah. Berserker says, for an American, I'd say I'm pretty radically anti-gun, personally. Yeah, well, I wasn't trying to say, oh, all Americans think like this. Of course, you're from Reset Era, so that checks out. Leon says, Axion having handled a gun shook me to the core as a Canadian. I wasn't that surprised. I've heard, like... Actually... I don't suppose he's online right now. It doesn't look like he is. Doesn't look like he is. I was gonna message him and like ask him to like come into chat. Come into chat and be like, hey, what's like the context behind like the handling a gun? Can you have some backstory here? From what I know of like knowing about like you know, different like American like celebrities and stuff like that. What I understand is that like a really common experience, like a common formative experience for a lot of Americans, especially in the South, maybe not so much in the North, is like when they're a teenager, one of their parents, I guess probably usually their dad, will take them to the range, like a gun range, and be like, hey, we're gonna like teach you how to handle a gun, how to shoot now, just in case you ever need to know. Even if they don't own a gun themselves. I think that was something that happened to Miranda Lambert, one of my favorite country singers when I was in high school. So I wouldn't be surprised just like by extrapolating if that was how Axion handled a gun, or under circumstances similar to those. Because I already knew that, I wasn't really too surprised to find that out. I should ask him sometime. I haven't asked him about that yet. I'm really curious. And Berserker says, yeah, Earned is doing some heavy lifting here. That's true as well, because like there's the whole like leftist idea of like, oh, profit is actually theft, right? Which I am at least partially sympathetic towards, because you know, as someone who recently hired a VTuber manager, and I mean, I majored in business in university, so I've known about this kind of thing for many years. But you know, now that I am sort of actually embarking on my career and starting to become like really immersed in this, like and like just on reflecting, I mean, without saying too much about like things that are going on like behind the scenes with me, my impression is that success, there's no such thing as being self-made in this, like literally self-made in this world, in this society. I mean, you can be like figuratively self-made in the sense that like, if you're figuratively self-made, that means that your parents weren't rich, like you didn't inherit your business or your wealth from them, so you're like new money. That's like the figurative definition of self-made. But nobody is like literally self-made, because we are a social species, and what I've observed is that every single successful person out there actually has a team. They have like family and friends to support them. They have their fans. They have like a manager, an agent. They have like assistants, like, you know, like a makeup artist, like hairdresser, whatever. Like they have like a huge team, depending on like the fame and the job of the person. It could be a team of like hundreds of people that basically all serve them, and they are all part of the reason that person is successful. It's not just their own brains and effort and their ideas, even though that's like, you know, obviously generally important. And if you took away even, you know, enough of that person's team, or even maybe in some cases even just one member, that person would be not successful or less successful. In which case, can you really say that someone is self-made and owes all their wealth, you know, or not owe, but is entitled to all their wealth just because their name is the name that happens to be glued, like labeled on, like that the success is labeled with, and not like the names of like their like 40 or 400 other team members, or like the society that you know, grows and picks their food, you know, and keeps their lights on and yada yada yada. That's just so then that's when theft is justified. Are you saying that taxation is theft? It's taxes. It's wealth redistribution. Wait, wait. That's okay. I'll move on. Number 22. Pursuing the goal of raising a family and a career that helps achieve this goal is more noble than pursuing a child-free life path. Okay, this one's kind of hard because I think it is easy to see this both ways. Like, I don't think that there should be a norm in society that everybody should be expected to have children, because some people are clearly better suited to becoming parents than others. That's one reason. It is also possible, at least once in a while, to get people who are actually so brilliant at what they do. Like, let's say they're like genius scientists or inventors or something else, that even if we argue it is generally better to have children, that in the cases of these particular people, if they had children, it would be a waste of their true potential. It would be sort of like a bigger opportunity cost, because you know, raising a child will lead to like a small benefit and societal contribution, but if for those people, if they didn't have a children, if they didn't have children, like, it would free them up to like what I'm saying, like maybe for like the average person, having a child would yield a net benefit over not having a child, but for exceptional individuals, it would be a net negative, because let's say that like the time and the effort involved in raising a child would like, if the time that they, you know, invest in raising a child, if they use that time instead on their career, they could, like, I don't know, invent even more like life-saving things. You know what I'm saying? I do think that it is noble to have a child if you have the means to, but I just don't think it should just be like a norm that is applied sort of like universally, regardless of like circumstance. So maybe I'll just leave this on no opinion either way. I think that I will also say that I think that conservatives would be more likely to answer agree to this, while liberals would be more likely to answer disagree. So you may or may not be surprised to see me just like not necessarily take a side. I think a lot of, not all, but like a lot of women nowadays would answer like disagree on the basis that, like, you know, it should be a choice, and like, you know, people should not be shamed into wanting to have children. Which, you know, like, I think we could get into a whole debate about like natalism here, which I probably not the best time for that, but like, I think that how do I say this? I think that like what was I gonna say? Now I forgot. Berserker says, I think I land in the no opinion camp on this one. Yeah, that's where I'm leaning towards at this point. Asher says, which channel should we post our results? You're doing philosophy, I guess. I think that's fair. Yeah, I think like a lot of liberals nowadays would try to argue that having children is something that has like no moral value. Particularly in maybe communities like, what subreddit am I thinking of again? Child free. I fucking hate that subreddit. It's one of my least favorite subreddits of all time. Holy shit, the people there are so insufferable. Or like, and there's even like, so there are certain crowds in our society that like would say that not only like it's not just that there's no moral value in having children. Like, they assign having children like a negative moral value, and then of course, like, at like the furthest extreme, you have like antinatalism, which I really hate. Anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox and move on to question 23. Citizens should never be denied the right to non-violently assemble and protest in public spaces, even when it is likely to progress into rioting. What do you guys think about it? Because, like, it seems, to me it seems kind of like forced, or like kind of like manipulative to say like protests always, like, pretty much always lead to rioting. Like, is that really the case in real life? I know sometimes, like a non-zero amount of the time, protests do devolve into rioting in real life. That does happen. I acknowledge that happens, and it's unfortunate, but like, I don't know about framing that as like an inherent characteristic of protests. I think most protests end peacefully, at least from what I hear and from what I'm exposed to. But then but I guess it does say even when it is likely to progress into rioting, not it always, like, it is likely to progress into rioting. So I want to say, like, strongly, at least, or maybe just like agree. I think protesting is an important right in a democratic society. LMAO, that came from the heart. Leon says certain subreddits remind me of that Pro CD water subreddit skit. The one where like he discovers the subreddit, and then he becomes like insufferable because like the stuff he learns about there becomes like his whole personality, basically. Are you talking about that one? It's been a while since I've seen that one, so I might be misremembering it. 23. Ensuring wrongdoers experience discipline through retributive punishment is an essential component of justice in ensuring the proper functioning of society. So this one is actually thematically like up my alley as Justice Incarnate, compared to some of these other ones that are more like kind of like political in nature. Not that this one isn't political, but you know what I mean. So if you've been following me for a while, you know that I am not a retributivist. That's how you pronounce that word, right? I'm more about restorative justice. So my opinion on this is very much strongly disagree. I think it's completely unnecessary to punish people just for the sake of, like, you know, like, for the sake of it, basically, and to define justice as like, or to harbor the notion that like, oh, unless people get punished harshly, you know, they won't learn their lesson, and to sort of like assume that fear and is the only deterrent, you know, for people. I think that's based on a lack of I think that's conventional wisdom that is you know, psychologically and empirically unfounded. I think a lot of modern research has shown that harsh retribution does not actually reduce recidivism. So like, I don't think I'm like a hypocrite, hypocrite either, because for me, I think that even if I think back to a lot of people who have hurt me personally, I think as long as they're not hurting anybody else, as long as they like learn their lesson and change their ways, that's the most important thing. Like, I think that's way more important than they're just like being, you know, going through some kind of like being tortured just for the sake of it. Slightly agree because rioting is where I draw the line, and then when protests are disruptive, but that's also an issue. Protests, but doesn't make other people life harder. We already have a tough time here. Yeah, now that you mention it, I have heard of examples of protests that are disruptive, even if they don't devolve into rioting, which is unfortunate. I think, yeah, I guess the question did stipulate non-violently and public spaces. So I've heard of examples of protests where the protest like spilled out into like a private building, which I think is like not okay. Like, it should remain like on the street and public property, and of course it should not like basically interfere with anyone's activities. We disagree there. Are you talking about this? Can you explain why you think through the wording of this question that retributive punishment is an essential component of ensuring the proper functioning of society. I would like to know your justification for that. Number 25, protecting the public's... Oh, we're only halfway done. It's been 2 hours. Protecting the public's right to privacy from surveillance and espionage should be a greater priority than using such tools to catch terrorists or criminals. I think I'm gonna go with at least slightly agree with when it comes to this, because I just... I think like things like surveillance can just be easily exploited into for things beyond just catching like the people that they're supposed to catch. I don't think that the potential benefit of catching terrorists and criminals unnecessarily justifies like just the intrusion of privacy. But I don't have like a strong opinion on this one. So if you have counter arguments, feel free to post them in chat. That's why it's a protected right. I've just seen people whose behaviors don't change because nothing is done to them in the end. They're not personally affected, so there's no reason for them to change. Okay, maybe here we have to define what retributive punishment is. Because I guess it's possible that you're like different. I think it's possible that like people could be fuzzy on the definition here. So I think that there's a spectrum here where you could be like completely anti-retributivist, where I mean that's like saying that people should not go to jail at all. Like, you know, whenever people do something wrong, they should only be like rehabilitated and get a stern talking to and then like set them on their way. There shouldn't be really any kind of punishment whatsoever. That's not where I'm at. I think that there are kinds of people who should go to jail, particularly people who are like not able to be rehabilitated and do not sort of like show any change in their behavior, which, you know, unfortunately there are people out there who fall under that category. But I do think that research has shown that like a plurality of so-called criminals are actually just criminals of opportunity. So it's not that they're criminals by nature, more that they just you know, they just kind of don't have anything else. they're forced into crime, basically. So especially with that context, I find the idea that like just automatically administering punishment to anybody who violates a rule regardless of their intent or their circumstances is something that strikes me as wrong. 25, protecting... Oh wait, I already answered that. Okay. Although taste in art, architecture, and style is technically subjective, it is important that a society tries to uphold certain standards of beauty and sophistication. This one's kind of vague. What do you guys think this one is referring to in practice? I'm kind of tempted to answer with slightly agree, but I may be biased because I am an artist and I don't like... I feel like an example of this, like a practical example of this is like, should we oppose graffiti because like ugly graffiti, like, you know, as opposed to like graffiti that is like a mural, you know, like a commissioned mural. Like, should we try to like ban graffiti because we think it's ugly, as opposed to just like letting people like do whatever they want regardless of you know, taste. So I could be biased, but kind of go with slightly agree. But yeah, that definition is how I'm interpreting it, where any jail is seen as retributive. Yeah, see, that wasn't... Yeah, see, I figured, like, it could be a semantic thing where, like, I don't think... To me, jail is not, like, inherently retributive. It's only retributive if, like, the person doesn't need jail to... There's another alternative to that person no longer committing crime than jail. Though art is subjective, maybe it's not. yeah, it's kind of, yeah, I mean, is this like a moral, it's even like a moral question, you know what I'm saying? 27, it is preferable for society to promote that people work through their mental health problems by talking about them openly, rather than by trying to hide and ignore them. Oh yeah. I think that, of course, again, could be biased, like with a lot of these, that as someone who has a background of mental illness and has really been immersed in this issue for many, many years, all I've seen is that, like, the more you try to make talking about mental health issues taboo for the sake of like decorum, because we think like mental health is like kind of like weird and scary, there's like really the negatives of doing that like far outweigh the positives. I'd be curious if anyone has any counter arguments that come from an angle other than like desiring like decorum. Our question is probably about purity value they're measuring. I mean, probably, but like, I personally, I don't know if I think of that as like that much of a moral thing. Number 28, it is important for countries to pursue a level of economic and military self-sufficiency to avoid dependency on others. Okay, this one is a bit hard for me to answer because I'm not like, I'm not that savvy when it comes to, again, geopolitics and economics. Yeah, I'm not very well acquainted with the various like potential pitfalls of a country that is not self-sufficient, and like it also used the word important, not moral. Like, I'm guessing that, okay, if a country is self-sufficient like militarily and economically, then it doesn't have to rely on some other more powerful nation, which means that it can't be exploited, which I guess seems is good, but there's I don't know. Chat, if anyone here, there has to be someone here. At least Leon, if he's still listening, he might not be, but there has to be one person here who is more, who's more of a political expert than I am and can shed some light on this. Asher says, we disagree on 27. Would you consider privacy and differences in working through their mental health issues? Privacy? Maybe there's a difference in how we're interpreting the question, because promoting, the way that I interpreted it is that promoting that people work through their mental health problems means encouraging them to do so, not forcing them to do so, not saying like you're a bad person if you don't. It's just leaving the option up to them. It's leaving the possibility open, as opposed to saying, as opposed to suppressing it and saying, no, this is something you can't do, and discouraging people from doing it. Talking about problems doesn't work for a lot of people. Yeah, I guess maybe it sounds to me like how you've interpreted the question is like promoting that talking about mental health problems openly is the best way to work through them, or like the only way, whereas I think it's just saying that this should be an option alongside other potential options. Leon says, countries cannot be fully self-sufficient in all things, food, materials, but it's generally good to have this ties and trade agreements, as we've learned in a certain strait. Okay, I guess that provides a bit of background, but you didn't provide your own opinion on the question. I guess it did say a level of economic and military self-sufficiency. It didn't say that a country has to be completely economically self-sufficient, because I guess that's not possible. I guess I feel like what this question is asking is like, is it okay for a country to be like completely is it bad for a country to be like completely dependent, where it can be expected that another country will have to step in to help them for their citizens to not suffer? So I kind of want to say slightly agree, but I don't think I have a strong opinion though. It's important, I agree. Yeah, okay. It's framing openly in opposition to ignoring or hiding it, not in opposition to privacy. Yeah. Yeah, rather than by trying to hide and ignore them. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Okay. Oh, it is a sign of a deeply flawed society when someone can inherit a large sum of wealth or power without having to work for it themselves, while others inherit little to nothing. Yeah, honestly, I don't know. It might make me sound anti-liberty, but I don't know about the idea of being able to pass on like large amounts of money to your children, and like like old money. Some people's money comes back like from like 5 generations, and it's like it really throws a wrench into the idea that like a money is like, or that wealth is tied to merit. Because I know the idea, and this comes from like really old times, that like, okay, people just want to pass on their properties and their wealth to their children to ensure that their children have like a like a good future. It's pretty natural to want the best for one's children in that way, but like in that case, I think there's another question later on that will help me expand on my intuition on this, but I think that I think what would be more just would be to have a norm or a system where very like excessively wealthy people could pass on a certain amount of their wealth to their children, but then have to distribute the rest among the rest of society. Because if you just if you can just like give $1 gazillion to your kids upon your death, then wealth is not like tied to merit after all. That's what I think anyway. Circus says you can still talk openly about something in a private setting. Yeah, that's true. But like once again, I interpreted the question more as like you're giving the people the option to do so if they like, but there's not an expectation that that's the only solution that they can take, or that or forcing them, or actively forcing them to take that solution. I've just seen them being treated as one and the same as someone that wants to be private about it. I mean, maybe by some people. I think like there are like people who like what's like a good example of this? It's like the it's like an overcorrection. Our society nowadays has a lot of this. It's kind of like, I like pancakes, so you hate waffles. So there are gonna be people who think that the opposite of having too much of a stigma on mental health is to go like all the way to the other end of the spectrum and say that, well, clearly the solution is just to force everybody to talk about their mental health instead. That doesn't mean that that radical minority represents the entire like opposite camp. You know what I'm saying? People, I've seen people on the internet do that a lot, and I feel like it's just because like some people are basically approaching these issues, they're just thinking too emotionally, and they don't have like critical thinking skills. But yeah. Number 30, all citizens charged with a crime, no matter how obviously guilty or problematic they are, should have the right to an impartial trial, fair representation, and due process. I feel like that's pretty fair. I mean, obviously the justice system, or I shouldn't say justice system, the criminal justice system in our society, in the real world, is vulnerable to corruption and exploitation at times. Yes, that's true. It's not perfect, but I feel like on principle, like on principle, I think this should be true, and it would be even more obviously true if we had a system where it was not possible for, like, you know, rich people to, like, bribe their way out of, like, whatever. Berserker says, if you're seeking help and talking privately to a professional in an open manner, then yes, that is absolutely your business and no one else's. To be fair, while what you say is right, to be fair, I don't know if the question is restricting itself just to the domain of, like, seeking professional help. I personally interpret it more as talking about problems openly, even in, like, just general society, in like polite company, as opposed to just in you know, just in a professional setting, or with a mental health professional, because as someone who has mental health issues, I think that it can be harmful to restrict, to make it taboo to talk about your mental health issues in public at all. And even if you're not if you don't have a similar stigma against mental health care, those are just my thoughts on it, which are, like, heavily informed by my personal experience. Like that, if it helps though, like, I personally would not force somebody to talk about their mental health issues if, you know, they prefer to keep it to themselves. But I just think that like, I don't think that, again, we should go in the complete opposite direction and say, like, I look at that person over there, they're being so strong, not talking about their mental health issues, and you know, so you should also be as strong. Why are you, like, you know? Yeah, I'm still in favor of destigmatizing that. All right. It is wrong to let friendship obstruct justice. Yeah. So we're more than halfway through the test now. I think we're actually about 3/4 of the way through the test, but I think that, or maybe 2/3. Oh, 2/3. I can't do math. 2/3 of the way through the test. You've probably noticed a trend with a lot of my answers to these so far, where I am not big on in-group mentality. For me, that is something that often runs counter to my conception of fairness, where I don't think that you have a special obligation to things like your blood family. Berserker says, someone should choose not to share their issues because they value privacy, not because they fear judgment. Yes, exactly. It's if someone chooses not to share their issues, it should be because they don't feel the need to, and not because, like, they think, like, other people are going to, like, cause them further harm. You said that really well. Okay, next one. 32. The primary goal of governments should be to prioritize the interests of their country and those who currently live in it, rather than pursue the well-being of humanity at large. I actually at least slightly agree with this. Now, I know this is sort of, like, bordering on a debate about, like, things like immigration and, like, what responsibility, if any, do we owe to people, you know, human beings who are not citizens of our country but are in need of aid. To me, I think it makes sense that a government would prioritize the quality of life of the people within the country and not everyone, but I don't have a strong opinion on this one. I could see myself potentially being swayed to the other side. I guess, okay, I feel like when it comes to maybe this is, like, unfair or says something about me, but I feel like when it comes to the United States in particular, then I would say, like, slightly disagree, because, like, I feel like an issue, to me it feels like an issue with the United States, its tendency to be like, yeah, we could do things that actually benefit, or now I'm thinking about, like, a lot of the harms that the US has caused on the world stage were actually motivated by at least ostensibly good intentions, like, and then like invaded the thing, and then it actually made the political situation in that part of the world worse. So like maybe it's like not a bad thing to just mostly worry about your own welfare as a nation, but I don't have a strong opinion on this. Leon says everyone operates in their own context for how open or private they personally need to be. Yeah, well, you guys probably know I personally prefer to be like at least slightly on the open side, and I very much enjoy having the option to do that, because like I find that talking about my mental health issues, maybe not like all the time, like airing out every single one of my thoughts, but at least some of the time I've found to be like very helpful in some cases, and I enjoy having the option to do that without getting like a huge amount of like a really unnecessary blowback for that. 33. A society works best when most of its members share similar values, beliefs, social norms, and mannerisms, with newcomers being expected to assimilate/adopt these values before joining. What do you guys think about this one? Because this one is, I think, also touching on a hot topic in today's world. There's a lot of debates in a lot of different countries and places about the pros and cons of immigration. This is yet another one where I feel like I can see it both ways. Like, we have to be honest, there are cases where it can be inconvenient when there are segments of a society that is too culturally dissimilar to the rest. But then I guess you might want to note that such a thing is not an issue that is like exclusive to like immigration. Yeah, but yeah, I see Berserker that you say slightly disagree. I think for me, the part that I'm fixated on right now is the fact that it says newcomers being expected to assimilate/adopt these values before joining, as opposed to after they have already come there, which would make it more sort of like picking up on the local culture, a lot more like natural and organic. I think I especially don't know about newcomers being expected to adopt the values before joining. That seems kind of something kind of robotic and creepy about that. So if it didn't have the part before joining, maybe my answer would be different. But because it includes that, I want to say slightly disagree. Diversity is strength in many ways. That's true as well. Yeah, that's a good point. Like differences don't automatically mean bad. I mean, they can, but they can also be good. For example, like when you put Vietnamese and French cooking together and you get pho. Number 34. If an external threat ever attempts to exploit one's homeland and its people, every citizen should be willing to stay behind and sacrifice their life to defend it if called upon. I think I at least slightly disagree, because I don't believe in being like absolutely loyal to one's country either, which again, probably doesn't surprise you at this point. I just don't really believe very much in in-group loyalty. Like, I think that it's, I think that you can be loyal to your country to the extent that it's practical, like, not wanting to lose your homeland, but like, I don't know that there should be a moral responsibility to sacrifice your life for it, for your country. Number 35. Some people, on the basis of their talent, risk-taking, hard work, and their contributions, are more deserving of wealth than others. So I would at least say slightly agree, though not strongly agree on this. Like, I don't think that... Because I feel like a strongly agree answer would map onto the belief that, like, hard work and talent are like the only things that determine whether you should have wealth, like nothing else does, like, you know, basic rights or anything like that. That's not what I believe. But I'm not on the other extreme either, which is to say that we should just have perfect wealth equality, and there should be like no differences in earning potential between people regardless of their individual like contributions and ambitions. I think that would be bad, because I think that it is good. I think it is good to have a system where people are, where contribution is at least somewhat tied, or no, sorry, that where reward is at least somewhat tied to contribution. I think that does lead to motivation. And there are also some people in life that are less, I don't know, ambitious or motivated than others, and I don't think that I don't think people that are like less ambitious and people that are more ambitious should be rewarded the exact same. But I just don't think that there should be as much inequality as there is right now. Berserker says those differences there would be for less interesting discussion. Yeah, thanks guys for being civil with me and with each other. There was a part of me that was like, is this just gonna lead to like a total like dramatic, like, you know, infighting, like breakdown in my chat? Because I was reading I think a Reddit thread about the other day about how like the reason that politics is banned as a discussion topic on most like VTuber kind of like servers and communities and things like that is because like it's just like too much of a pain to moderate, because like, you know, people will like people will automatically be unreasonable. But I don't know if that's true. Like I think there are certainly unreasonable people out there, but it is within your power as a content creator to curate your own community, to not around, I guess, only tolerating some opinions and censoring others, but tolerating a certain type of conduct or like standard of conduct, and like yeeting all the like, you know, disrespectful, like yelling people away. And I think like Axion and I have like at least actually all three of us philosophy members actually, Ax and Karis and I think we've all managed to cultivate that within our communities. So it certainly is possible, but you just have to want it and you know, just go about your, you know, just conduct yourself as a content creator in a certain way, I think, to set that example. So I don't think you can, I mean, I get that, like, I think that, I think, what am I saying? I think it's for some content creators and for some communities it can be justified to have like a no politics rule on that grounds, but likewise I don't think that like violent disagreement is like an inherent characteristic of political discussions. That's something that I would object to. Number 36. If a citizen enjoys the quality of life, culture, and civilization of their country more than others, they should support actions which increase its external might, power, and influence on the world stage. So this is like an argument for like American exceptionalism, right? I'm leaning towards slightly disagree because I, as Berserker put it not long ago, diversity is good. Like, just because you enjoy your quality of life and culture and, you know, yada yada, it doesn't mean that other people's, you know, quality of lives and culture are just as wonderful and full of benefits. So I don't know that you know, just because you like your country and you like your life, it automatically follows that it's something you kind of need to force on other people. Well, I guess the question didn't say force, and I'm kind of being a bit straw-man-y, but like, you know what I'm saying. Number 37, certain inanimate objects should be treated as sacred, immoral to disrespect even when no property damage is done and nobody's around to witness it. Like doing comedic poses in front of a war memorial. Did you guys hear about that like YouTuber like Johnny Somali, who like disrespected, I think, two memorials of like sexual assault victims in the this was in Korea. They were like Korean memorials of like sexual assault, like wartime sexual assault victims, and he I think recorded himself like kissing them, and like now he's gone to jail in Korea. And like nobody feels bad for him because he's been like doing like he's been like fucking around for years and years, and he finally found out. I think there's also footage. Come to think of it, I also saw footage of him getting decked in the face in Japan. And like, if you've been to Japan or like know anything about Japan, like, you've gotta be quite the menace to get punched in the face in public in Japan by like a stranger. And it's not that you're like a gang. It's not like you're in like the Yakuza or anything. Like, you're just like a foreigner. Yeah, I see Berserker says 37 was a big stumper for me, not gonna lie. Yeah, it's kind of like if a tree falls in a forest and like nobody is like around to witness it, nobody's around to hear it, doesn't make a sound. I kind of, yeah, I guess what you could say here is that like, okay, if you, let's say, yeah, okay, you kiss a statue of a sexual assault victim and you don't record yourself doing it, so nobody finds out about it, is any harm done? But I feel like in that case I would ask, okay, but why are you doing it then? And you're not nobody, you're somebody. So at minimum, you know about it, and maybe that is still a kind of harm. Maybe it's not just like only if someone knows about it it's bad. Because I feel like if you could probably make similar arguments for things like cheating, where okay, if your partner cheats and you don't know about it, is that okay? Is that suddenly okay? Because presumably, because you don't find out about it, you're not hurt by it, you don't feel hurt by it. And I think most people who are opposed to cheating would say that that's still wrong, even if the person who would be hurt by it is not privy to it. So I want to say at least slightly agree, personally. 38. An individual who is well-intended but could be considered a social misfit, weak/timid, and dull-witted should be given the same courtesy and respect as their peers rather than treated as a burden by society. I think I agree for this. I mean, I don't know, maybe slightly agree. I'm not gonna disagree, but like, I think that people who are maybe, for example, like lacking in social skills or something like that should be subject to a certain amount of criticism, but it should be obviously, you know, constructive and respectful. Like, they shouldn't be like shamed and bullied on account of like differences that are like not fully within their control and not like directly harmful to other people. Yeah, that framing actually helped me crystallize my answer. Oh, my framing for 37, you mean? 39. Mentally sound adults should have the absolute right to decide what they inject into their own bodies, even when it may be detrimental to public health. This includes both using drugs such as fentanyl recreationally as well as refusing vaccination. Ooh, this one feels very topical. It also reminds me of like, wasn't this like the first question on the quiz? It is morally wrong to mistreat one's own body or live unhealthily. Isn't this like basically the same? It's asking about the same thing, just worded in a more I don't know. Now it's just like listing specific examples. Yeah, for 37. I see. What do you guys think? Since this has been such a hot topic in the last 5 or 6 years. For me, I feel like when it comes to something like vaccination, even if in most cases we should definitely have a large amount of autonomy when it comes to what we do to our bodies, I feel like refusing vaccination, or not refusing vaccination, but getting vaccinated against a lethal disease is one of those things that for me falls under collective responsibility, because it's not just about you. Like if you don't get vaccinated, or if enough people don't get vaccinated, then we have the elderly, like other people, especially like the elderly and children, will be put at risk. So it's like not just about you. Like I'm the kind of person who is comfortable saying, I think at a certain point in life you are responsible for other people. It's not completely responsible. To a certain point you are. And this is one of those cases. I'll put slightly this, I'm gonna put slightly disagree, just because yeah, vaccination against lethal diseases is a pretty extreme scenario, whereas I'm like not, I don't know if I'm as bothered when it comes to other things where it's like not like life and death. Other cases where it's not life and death. We're 40. During peacetime, the government should be prohibited from seizing the personal property of a law-abiding citizen, such as a family home, for state planning. It's just trying to construct a public railway without their consent, even if dues are paid in compensation. I'm gonna say I think I agree. Or maybe even strongly agree. I might be biased. I might be biased on this one, and in a way that you might not expect. I haven't talked about my family background too much on stream. I've mentioned a few stories and bits and pieces here and then, but I've not tried to catalog my full family history or anything like that. But from what I understand, this kind of thing actually has happened a lot in Asia. I've heard about it happening in modern China. The government's yeets I don't know, villages full of people out of their homes to build a dam, or I don't know, or something like that. I think I forgot the name, but I think there actually is one particular dam in China, of which that is the backstory, and the dam is actually so big. I think what does it do? I think it affects the Earth's rotation or something stupid and crazy like that. Don't quote me on that last part. I have to look that up again. It's something like that though. And then aside from China, according to my grandmother's war stories, which she told me when I was growing up with her, this kind of thing was basically the modus operandi of the Viet Cong or Viet Cong in South Vietnam post 1975, after the fall of Saigon, where one of the things they did, in communist fashion, is once they would invade whatever municipal area, they would yeet innocent people out of their homes and claim them as state property, and which is just and it was just the way that my grandma described it, it sounded like it was just absolutely barbaric. So even if I may be biased because of my family history, I want to say agree, or even strongly disagree, or maybe I'll keep it on agree, because maybe there are really extreme. I think we can come up with crazy fancy thought experiments where this would be clearly justified, but I would say at least it's not justified in I don't know if it's as clearly justified in the real world cases that we just talked about, where it was clearly more motivated by greed and with little concern for the lives that it affected. 41. Democracy, where leadership is determined by public election in which every citizen has a right to vote, is universally preferable to any method of state governance where leadership is appointed from the top down instead. I know that these days there are some crazy anti-democracy people who are out there, but I think what's that quote about democracy being not it's not perfect, but it's just better than all the other systems we've tried. I mean, that's about where I am with this. I mean, even though democracy has weaknesses, and some of them we're kind of like watching play out in real time in recent years. Leadership that's appointed from the top down, I think, is just even more ripe for corruption. 42. It is distasteful for a citizen to publicly question the technical knowledge of scientists, the bravery of those in dangerous lines of work, or the work ethic of manual laborers if they themselves haven't achieved similar feats. What do you guys think about this? I don't know if I have a settled opinion myself. I feel like when it comes to scientists, at least a lot of people would say, well, yeah, would kind of relate this to, if you're not a scientist, then you shouldn't question the expertise of scientists and that kind of thing, and which can be, of course, very obnoxious, if not dangerous, when people, do that, when people doubt scientific expertise. But at the same time, scientists are human, and it is possible for them to be wrong, and there were times when they have been wrong in the past. But I guess it kind of circles back to, okay, well, but is a regular citizen in a place to question that? So, I might leave this one on no opinion either way for now. 43. If the current governing system has proven itself to be competent at ensuring the well-being of its citizens, all of its laws should be followed to preserve social stability, including ones that seem arbitrary or that one might disagree with. I feel like I'm gonna say slightly disagree with this, because the way I see it is that, like, just because a society may be, like, overall efficient, I don't see why that means that every single one of its laws should be followed. Considering, like, those laws probably, like, may have been written by different people, different political parties, or at, like, very different eras, and some of them may be more sensible than others. Like, I don't see why it follows that all of the laws have to be followed just because, you're satisfied with, like, maybe most of them. 44. Certain activities are so disgusting that they are deeply immoral, even if completely consensual, physically harmless, and done privately. Okay, this one is gonna be like a real, it's gonna be, what do you call it? It's gonna be real fodder for certain kinds of people on, like, on Twitter and, like, social media these days. I feel like a lot of people on both sides of the political spectrum would have strong opinions about this. This might be, honestly, like a hot take. I personally don't feel like I care about, like... Okay, okay, I just see Leon says this is a very broad question. That's true. Maybe just for all intents, just for, let's just for, like, the sake of the test, we'll focus on this example they give on incest, rather than trying to imagine all the possible other disgusting activities out there. People love broad stroke questions. Well, let's focus on the example. And maybe, like, extrapolate from there, if anything. So personally, I honestly don't think that... Yeah, again, this opinion of mine, this might be a hot take, might run contrary to most people's intuitions on this. I don't really think I care about, like, incest happening, as long as, again, there's no power dynamic, it's consensual, and there's, proper protection, so there's no, like, inbreeding, like, because if it's different if it results in actual, like, tangible consequences, the question stipulates it has to be, like, consensual and, like, physically harmless, right? So it doesn't have to result in any sort of real negatives, such as, fucking up the gene pool. We didn't have incest. We don't have Game of Thrones. Yeah, plus it is something that is sort of like culturally contingent. I mean, incest was obviously a lot more common in days past, in bygone times, because people lived in smaller communities. The scale of our civilization was different, and so incest was at times more integral to survival, because like if you weren't willing to, well, now we're talking about like actually like incest that like results in inbreeding though, but like so it's like not quite the same thing. But yeah, that's not the same thing. But well, maybe I'll just finish my point. It is well, the point is it can be culturally contingent, and in the past it was more justifiable because like basically like all the people in like close to you were like related to you in some way, even if they were like fourth cousins. So you know. Berserker says, I think ascribing moral value to something that explicitly does not cause harm is probably the wrong way to go. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, although I know that there are people who feel very strongly about this and would not agree. Disgusting. So we'll at least say like slightly disagree. 45. Society is at its most admirable when businesses, schools, and public institutions follow a culture of perfectionism, prioritizing the enforcement of deadlines, punctuality, quality control, and commitment to long-term planning over more flexible or less systems. I don't think perfection, like, I don't think I've complained about most of these questions so far. I think you guys have done more complaining, but I don't think I like the way that this one is worded. Like, both, like, because it's not an either or, right? You can be both, you can have standards like being punctual and stuff and upholding deadlines, as well as more flexible when time's called for it. Like they're not mutually exclusive. They're not incompatible. So, kind of a weird question. Ari says, do you think there can be incest which does not have power dynamics? There are some arguments that this can't be possible. Well, the example that they used was two consenting adult twin siblings, in which case neither is meaningfully older than the other, and so there should not be any real power dynamic. Like, I've known pairs of cousins in real life, and it doesn't seem to me like there's any power dynamic between them. Yeah, of course, I think like the bigger of a power dynamic there is, the more it should be called into question. Like, for example, when it comes to, I mean, honestly, I think that even when it comes to non-twin siblings that are not too far apart in age, so maybe they're only like a couple years apart. I mean, I'm an only child, but based on what I've seen of such pairs of siblings, it's not clear to me that when both siblings are adults that there's a huge power dynamic between them either. Or very, like, just, I mean, I don't know. Like, maybe there still is one, and I can't tell because I don't have any siblings close to my age, but if we're kind of basing the okayness, the morality based on the level of power dynamic, then I would say that parental incest, like parent-child incest, is never okay, because I think that the power dynamic between parent and child is never something that can really be surmounted, no matter the age of the people involved, like even if the child is like an adult child. Twin gender dynamics could of course happen, but what if they are the same gender? Words I didn't think I'd type ever. You see, you actually like touched upon something that this was I can't remember which of Axion's video this was, but it was one of his it was one of his debate videos. I can't remember which one, but someone, like, I think there was basically, for all intents and purposes, let's say that the interlocutors was someone who was more liberal leaning, and the other person was probably more conservative leaning, and the liberal interlocutor, the liberal debater, was arguing that incest is always wrong, and then on the basis of certain principles, and then the conservative debater ask, okay, well, what if it's incest between consenting adult twin siblings and they're both male? So is there anything wrong with that according to like the principles that you've put forth? And the liberal debater had to admit that, like, well, I guess not. So I remember that. Ari says, I'm also a single child and power dynamics are so complicated within families that I don't think I understand it enough to judge in this kind of very rare case. It's fair. Leon says teacher or mentor dynamics too. And that's not the same, because like your teacher can stop being your teacher and doesn't raise you from birth. Like doesn't have to know you from the time that you're a child. Like someone can become your teacher when you're an adult and they can stop being your teacher after. So I don't think it's like it's on the same level as parent and child. Okay, no one's talking about question 45. I guess just 44 is so engaging. I'm gonna say slightly agree, because I think that while I don't know, or maybe just no opinion either way, because like an institution that is either too much of a rules follower or too lax and doesn't care about the rules enough, like both of those extremes are bad. Like why is this a question? Zerker says, what if we remove the power dynamic and change the example to consenting cannibalism? Okay, but well, to be fair, the question did stipulate physically harmless, so for the purposes of the question, like saying like, what if somebody consents to have their arm cut off and eaten is like not an example. There has to be something that results in like no physical change, I think, in keeping with like the spirit of the question. Okay, and then 46. It is unethical for the government to place restrictions on what ideologies, beliefs, and opinions can and cannot be expressed within social media and academia, no matter how dangerous they might be considered. Ooh, I feel like this is something that Axion would have strong opinions on, and I have a pretty good idea of what he'd say about it based on our hate speech debate. So this is about free speech, and it's important here to that we recognize that it's stipulated that like the government is what would place the restrictions, as opposed to like a private body or an individual. Yeah, I'm gonna say at least slightly disagree. I think that I don't think restrictions are always unjustified. I just don't think that on principle that I'm just not sure that the government should be doing it. Do you guys agree or disagree with that? Post-mortem cannibalism would still qualify, I think. Yeah, although I feel like that's still outside the scope of the question, because wait, I read the question wrong. I read this as ethical, not unethical. So based on my reasoning, I would actually answer slightly agree. I realized that after your comment, Ashers. Yeah, postmortem cannibalism. Yeah, that's still outside of the scope of the question, I feel, because like the consensual like doesn't come in if when one of the participants is dead. I think for the purpose of the question, like, or maybe it does. Like maybe, or wait, does it? I'm not sure. Okay, we agree on this one. We've agreed on a couple of things. Okay, 47. It should be considered socially unacceptable for respected, high-status authority figures, such as a publicly I think this is a typo. I think it's supposed to say renowned general or great scientist to demand preferential treatment from civil society, such as skipping queues at a hotel. I agree to be eaten after I die. I just don't know if I personally feel like talking about cannibalism right now. Not like no offense. I'm getting hungry, and this has been going on for almost 3 hours. That's all. Webb says, I wonder what factors into what value someone ends up having. Oh, sorry for vanishing in between. No problem. If you had to step away or something, that's understandable. Anyway, so for this question, for question 47, you might be surprised to hear me say this, but I'm gonna go with slightly agree. Now, this might strike you as unfair, like in the sense of like, well, what makes like a general or a scientist like better than me? You know, we all should like have to stand in line and but I'm thinking about this in terms of practical purposes. And to bear with me for a moment, this might be easier if I use an example of a specific figure instead of just talking about like theoretical people. So a lot of people hate Taylor Swift for using a private jet. Now, it's true that the climate change is an important issue. However, first of all, I honestly get the sense that for a lot of people, this is kind of like partly like they basically they hate Taylor Swift for other reasons that are like not socially acceptable to talk about. So they frame their dislike in terms of, well, she uses private jets because that will be more socially palatable, but it's a bit just disingenuous. As someone who is, I mean, you can feel free to accuse me of being biased because I'm a Swiftie, but as someone who knows a lot about her life, has read her interviews, and has been like following her for a long time, and like and I know things, I know a lot of things about her that most people like don't know, and a lot of people I've seen are just making judgments about her without like the full context, without the full understanding. It is possible to make an argument in favor of her using private jets because the alternative, like, there are really no practical alternatives for her. Because she is so famous and beloved that if she were just used to public transportation, it would just result in like a massacre. It would like be a bloodbath. Like people, like it would, like if she showed up, like at this point in her career, if she just showed up at a regular airport, the whole airport would be shut down for like a week. It would cause absolute chaos. In some online discussions, based on what I've seen is that sometimes when that point gets brought up, people who are not Taylor Swift fans, they go like, come on, how famous can she be? Can it be really that bad? And it's like, yes. Yes, it is that bad. You don't know because you're not a Swiftie. It is exactly that bad. She's like, it's not possible for her to have like a normal life anymore. Even if she went like, I no longer want to be famous, like I don't want to be a celebrity, I just want to be treated like other people. It's not gonna work for her unless she like changes her face, unless she hides her face or something like that. So what I'm trying to say is if we have someone who is like sufficiently famous, then it may actually be justified to give them certain kinds of preferential treatment in order to avoid like they're getting mobbed or something like that. I also, yeah, I thought I was gonna say something before and I forgot. Yeah, I think I was just gonna finish off my point by saying the only way at this point for Taylor Swift to not use a private jet in any capacity is to basically stop traveling and because there's like it would be really hard for her to travel in any other way, I think, or at least significantly sort of like tamp down on aspects of her career. So I'm not saying that she's immune to criticism, but like a lot of the online criticism is like ignorant of like what her life is actually like, of what the actual circumstances are. Okay, I think you guys are saying weird things in chat. That's fair, feel free to move on. Cannibalism makes me hungry. What the I better watch out when Tia looks. Why would you say that? Come on. This feels like my my due after talking about how much of a big eater I am. in chat the other time, recently in Xenoblade, because when I contrasted myself to Axe and Karis, who are like light eaters, and then it made me self-conscious about whether or not I'm a real philosopher. Notice it says demand this treatment, not receive it. Oh, that's true. I didn't even notice that part. Demand is the operative word here. I don't think she should use it for environmental reason. I'm not going to complain unless she's betraying those principles due to know her stance. The image I got from the question is that the is entitled or something. It kind of influences the intuitions involved. That's true. I actually totally missed the part about demand. So, I mean, it also depends on why they're demanding it. Like, yeah, again, if it's because of like reasons like, if I don't get this, I'm gonna be mobbed and it's gonna be inconvenient for everybody. I think I'm gonna leave my answer at slightly agree. For innocent TS. Do you think this actually highlights the problem of fan-celebrity relationships? Well, perhaps that's the real issue at hand. That's what it feels like for me. I mean, yeah, it is. We could get into a whole nother discussion about that, but it doesn't change the fact that, like, in reality, like, that is a fact of our reality, that people can be famous enough that, like, when they're in public, it's dangerous for them and everyone else around them. Oh, last but not least, number 48. It is preferable for the public to be aware of a hard truth concerning them and have it result in outrage/instability than it is for them to be kept under blissful ignorance. For example, you become the new leader of a country and uncover that a previous ruling government many decades ago secretly experimented on its citizens, and if this information got out, the outrage would be taken advantage of by many radical groups who are ideologically opposed to you. Ooh, this one, I think this one's a doozy. I'd like to hear your opinions on this one. Someone show her the clip later. What? Viking says, Taylor Swift, I don't mind using a private jet. I just don't like the hypocrisy of the gatherings to discuss the environment. Where all the people who show up do so in private jets. You don't have a point. Last but not least, I thought 50 questions. I said almost 50 questions. Or promoting people not driving as much when they themselves have a private jet. Or yacht. I think that was supposed to say yacht. I shared my thoughts on 48 in your Xenoblade playthrough. Can you remind me in what context that was? I forgot already. Oh, no. It was I remember now. Yes, it was like the recurring thing about like Blade HQ not telling like NLA like anything about what was going on. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion on this. I can see the argument in favor of, like, you know, stability, but when it comes to the leader, so I think the Xenoblade situation, and Berserker is referring to my playthrough of Xenoblade X, or in case for anyone who isn't aware, I think that situation is not quite the same as this example here. So I think it makes a difference whether the truths are something that is ongoing as opposed to something that is already past. For me, that actually makes a difference. I think that it is fine to... You don't have... a country's government doesn't have to post like a live Twitter feed of all the things happening like to the country for their citizens, right? I think it is okay. It is like reasonable, if not actually preferable, to not apprise the public of a currently developing situation. Like if you have like unconfirmed reports or something, for example. But I think it is more wrong to withhold information or the truth about an event that has already passed. But I think there's a lot of room for debate when it comes to this question. Strongly love their secrets. I feel like it's better to share the truth. In my opinion, the dishonesty hurts public trust the most. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Like, trust is almost an absolute value. It's one of the most important rights and values there is out there. I haven't played the game, but I strongly agree to. True. I'm gonna say agree, I think, rather than strongly. Strongly agree. But yeah. Okay, just under 3 hours in stream start. You guys ready? 3, 2, 1. Guys, I scored so isn't it funny that I scored so high on fairness? Because it matches the symbol on my collar. I got pretty high on care as well, and fairly high on liberty. And unsurprisingly, my scores on in-group purity and authority are all low. Well, purity is technically more average, and in-group and authority are below average. 90 Tia Faire. Thank you guys. And yeah, let's it says explanation. Click on any of the statements below. Let me know if you'd like me to read the and open and read the blurbs for all of these. But for now, I'm gonna read the first one. So because I think it's interesting. What do my results say about my ideology? According to Haidt's methodology, when applied strictly in an American context, left liberals / social democrats tend to score very high in care, fairness, and liberty relative to in-group loyalty, purity, and authority, which they tend to score lowly on. Conservatives tend to weigh all foundations relatively similarly to one another, valuing each of them to a moderately high level. Oh, interesting. So based on this, I'm definitely not a conservative, if we're going to take this at its word. Although I did see, when I was reading about other people's impressions or like opinions on this test earlier, I did see someone post their like results, and every single value was high, which I thought was really interesting. So apparently that guy was probably a conservative. Fascists tend to score very high in group loyalty, purity, and authority relative to care, fairness, and liberty, which they tend to score lowly on. Oh god. And libertarians tend to score very high in liberty relative to the other foundations, which they value little to moderately, though it is not uncommon for them to also place high value on fairness. So yeah, interesting. So libertarians care mostly about fairness and liberty, not much, or liberty and maybe fairness, not so much the others. Progressive socialists. I'm gonna be straight up with you. I don't know what the difference is between progressive socialists and social democrats, but tend to, or maybe this is like radical socialists as opposed to just like institution, like what's the word, like not institute. It's not the word. No, it's like you know. Yeah, oh yeah, I guess it's saying like liberals / Democrats versus like socialists. Yeah, so socialists tend to score very high in care and fairness relative to everything else, which they value lowly, including liberty, which separates from left liberals. Yeah, so that makes sense. So I am not a socialist because I still value liberty quite a lot. So you guys might have noticed, I usually try to avoid labeling myself politically, because I think that's unhelpful. I think we as a society, we're kind of addicted to trying to like put people into boxes, especially political boxes, so that we can quickly kind of like dismiss and judge their opinions rather than looking at things with nuance. I myself don't want to be subject to that, but according to this, I am what do you call it? I'm the closest, I guess, to a liberal. That's the mold that I fit the best. Maybe while I respond to chat, I'll open these just in case anyone wants to read them. I'll start with these three, and I'll leave them on screen. As expected, a critique of fairness. Oh, the popcorn emoji is really cute. I thought my liberty score would be higher. Ooh. My results were basically the same, but more extreme. Oh, so like even more, like probably like more liberty, but like less in-group purity and authority. That's interesting. I do find ourselves agreeing on like most things, Berserker, based on my past streams. So yeah, not too surprising. Cause I'm a Vash. Congratulations. I was high in authority. I mean, I think we have to take these definitions at you know, like with a grain of salt. I don't know that conservatives I don't know if I agree that conservatives will be like high and everything. I think it makes sense to me that conservatives would be higher in these in the bottom three and lower in the top three, and then with fascists it'll just even be more extreme. That's sort of like my intuition. My purity and authority scores are both 27. I see. Ari says, yes, thank you for saying that. I also hate our tendency to label everything and everyone. I think it leads to shallower representations and discussions about real ideas. Yeah, like that's why I myself never go around asking people, so what's your political alignment? Like, are you like left? Are you right? Are you a centrist? Because like their ideas should speak for themselves. Like those labels are superfluous. I think in a lot of context, they cause more harm than good. I think it can be useful like if you're maybe for certain kinds of like surveys and polls, it is useful to sort of like distinguish between, to just have broad groups for example, like Biden-Harris / Trump voters to distinguish between, like there are some cases where that can be convenient, but like people definitely like, do way too much of that on social media. I got like 60% on all of them, so I guess I'm conservative now or something. Yeah, I feel like personally, I feel like if you get around the same on all of them, then you're probably more of a centrist than a conservative. And on that topic, so one of the things, first of all, I really want to say thank you, everyone. We're not at the quite at the end of the stream yet. There are a couple more things I wanted to say, but thank you to everyone who showed up today. I wasn't sure if this stream would get much traction until after basically until you guys all showed up. Because it's kind of like out there, it's kind of different. Sometimes when you do something like this that's a little bit like different and unproven, either it can go really well or go really badly. So it did, occur to me that like maybe nobody would come. But I feel like a lot of people actually ended up showing up and participating in the discussion. And it definitely wouldn't have been the same if it was just me talking to myself the whole time. But thanks to you guys, it ended up being really fun and engaging. And I hope you guys had fun. I think, yeah, if you guys would like it, or if you have like other ideas for similar things, I'm open to doing more streams like this in the future. I thought that the nature of the questions of this test would lend itself to a lot of interesting discussions, and I'm glad to say that the prediction on that panned out. Webb says, I think the labelism hurts these tests because it reduces all the nuance to one category or label. Yeah, I mean, it's not wrong to try to find like patterns and correlations, but it's one thing to say, oh, a lot of liberals have this profile, and another thing to say, well, because you have this profile, you must toe the Liberal Party line. You must have all liberal beliefs, and you know what I'm saying? Many of these questions are also how you interpret them, which could lean one way or another. That's true. Like, I've seen some criticism of the test that it's like poorly designed, and I saw one comment. This wasn't our philosophy. Like, our philosophy is honestly such a shithole or a shit show. I don't know which of those words is better, but there's someone posted this as a thread in our philosophy, and there was this one guy complaining, oh man, like now we're posting like BuzzFeed quizzes on our philosophy, and I'm like, okay, clearly that's just being dramatic. Like, I know it might not be, the most scientifically rigorous test of all time, but it's clearly, it is getting at a very, I think, interesting and important concept. It's clearly a league above, like, which kind of furniture are you type of quest. Cast that evil on me. I'm not a centrist. It's interesting to me that centrist has that connotation for you. Axion, when pressed, would say like he's more of a centrist than anything else. Doing things like this that engage with the audience is really good. Thanks. I'm glad you think so. Your score in this test also depends on a million other things not related much to your ideology, like your mood when you took it, how you interpreted some of the vague or ambitious questions. Yeah. Got 77s on 2 of them and 37s on 3 of them. Interesting. And hi, Ankylosaurus. I didn't realize you were here. Furniture. Yeah. So a couple of other things I wanted to say before I close out for today. So one is, I think we're already, we kind of already been, I don't know, like expounding on this point, but one of the reasons that I want to make content like this is to further spread the idea that morality is not like, I don't think morality is one-dimensional. I think we as a society need to get away from the idea that like if somebody likes immigrants or doesn't like immigrants, then they're automatically pure evil. There can be no other explanation. They want to like destroy the country, and that's that. We as a society need to get away from that kind of thinking. That kind of thinking is just leading to endless polarization and conflict. And that doesn't have to be that way. I think that what this research, the research that this test is based on, what it is getting at is that the reason we have different like political sides and we have different political opinions when it comes to big issues like immigration is, less that like half the population is just evil, and the question of which half depends on which half that you ask. It's that people have different definitions of morality. They have different values. Some people value, for example, when it comes to immigration, you'll probably be more pro-immigration if you value care. You'll probably be more against immigration if you value in-group. But both of those stances have some like merit and reasoning behind them. Like it is good in a society to have people who care about these different values. But the way that we treat people in our society a lot of the times does not reflect that. A lot of the times what people do, especially on social media, is they act like, just wait until we round up all of the liberals / conservatives and we dump them on the moon and we can just be rid of them forever. That is the kind of mentality that people have, whether they're conscious of it or not. And first of all, we obviously can't do that with half the population. And even if we could, we arguably shouldn't, because whether you realize it or not, they're bringing something to the table. Now, that doesn't mean all of their beliefs and actions and are justified. But it's not as simple as saying they're all wrong and pure evil and they need to go away. And I realize that what I've just said is kind of unpopular. Gonna be kind of like a hot take in today's political climate, but it is something that I believe in strongly. And I hope that this is an idea that becomes more popular in the future. Honestly, I haven't read all of Jonathan Haidt's work, but as an example of this sort of differences in ideologies and action, I am not familiar with all of Jonathan Haidt's work. The main psychologist implicated in this research and this theory. From what I've seen of him, there are some of his ideas that I agree with and some I don't agree with. and that's fine as well. Tia, did you realize that's an actual BuzzFeed quiz? No, but I'm not surprised that it is one. That's the point of the joke. Having said that, I got a 98 in fairness. I didn't choose to claim that. Okay, well, you're not taking my court crystal from me, okay? Super fair. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, darling, kiss me. Basically, echo chamber's bad, need some different views. I think epistemic empathy is an underrated concept and worth bringing up in political conversations. People often have different evidence and arguments available to them. That is actually the very first time I've heard the phrase epistemic empathy, and I think I really like it. Is that something you coined yourself? Or is there a source for that? Because if there is a source, I would very much like to do more reading on what other people have said about epistemic empathy. But you're absolutely right. You're getting much more comfortable streaming. It's great to see. Yeah, thanks for saying that. I was talking about this just in my last stream, which was my anniversary stream. But someone told me they got should I just repeat the story? A while back, someone told me that they watched my debut. They went back and watched my debut stream and said like, "Oh, like, you know, it's nice to see like you've gotten so much confidence since then." And I feel like that's a misdiagnosis of what the issue was as to why kind of like I wasn't you know, like I kind of like stumbled and stuff like that when streaming at the start. I can realize how it might seem that way from the outside, but it was really less that I was shy, which I feel like is the opposite of confident, and more that I was too rigid. And I explained that basically, like, I think the biggest difference between now and back then was that I've stopped holding myself to such high standards. I've basically given myself more grace and said like, it's more important to have like good vibes than to say exactly the right words. It's okay if vibes are more important than like sounding like, using the perfect vocabulary, because sometimes I have difficulty coming up with like the right synonyms I want. It's happened a bunch this stream and I really hate it, but like I decided to tell myself to like just stop being self-conscious about that and like stop thinking about other people's expectations of me and just accept that I'm not going to please everyone, but that's okay because I'm pleasing the right people, and like you guys, and you guys have helped prove to me that I don't have to be so hard on myself, and that's helped me, I think, sound more natural on stream. And it's partly that, and also that I've been better able to manage my health issues lately, and that helps as well. Because I used to be like dead tired in the time after my debut. I used to be so weak. I remember like a couple weeks after debut, I was like so weak. I was like hobbling around the house, like I couldn't even like stand up and walk straight. That was the condition in which I was streaming, which I think explains a lot. Now, I picked up the term in these philosophy circles, not sure who coined it. Okay then, maybe I'll look into it myself then. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, because that's something that is so, I think, lacking in today's political climate. The idea of like, yeah, people often have different evidence and arguments available to them. I've seen so many people, including on Reset Era, I don't know, Berserker, I don't know if you're like familiar with this, but people will say like, okay, but ignorance isn't excused because the internet exists now, and clearly because the internet exists, we can expect everyone to know everything that is on the internet. And like these people, I don't know what's wrong with these people. Like I don't know how they're so like out of touch. They're like so in their like liberal bubble. I honestly, I'm not sure. Okay, I think the last thing I wanted to say for today is that, for what it's worth, I think because this test invites so much interesting discussion and is so, I think can reveal so much about oneself, I think that I want, I'm gonna try to get my gen mates, Axion and Karis, both to try the test. Karis, hopefully once he comes back to streaming, because he's been busy with real life stuff for quite a while. And kind of like compare our results. I expect that Axion particularly will get a noticeably different profile than me. Personally, I foresee him scoring high in Liberty. Maybe. I think most of his stances on things point to coming from Liberty, if I'm not like misunderstanding, but I could be wrong. Yeah, they're gonna take the test, and like, yeah, because I feel like it is interesting to know about somebody's sort of stances on a few issues and then be able to relate it to their scores and be like, oh, so this is why you have those stances, because like here's how like your values differ from mine. These are your priorities. Be interesting to see. It might help understand each other as well. Yeah. So I take it at least a few of you have posted your results on Discord. I haven't looked at any of them yet, so I'll do that after I end stream. Is there anything else I need to say today? I mean, pretty much just like yeah. Once again, this was fun, and I'll see if I can yeah, I'll see if I can come up with more stream ideas to facilitate this kind of like discussion and like chat interaction in the future. And hopefully this won't just be like a one-time thing. If you guys have any ideas you'd like me to try, feel free to share them in the new Stream Ideas channel on my server, which yeah. You can post any stream ideas there, not just like video game recommendations, just to be clear. And yeah, and later this week I'll be playing Needy Streamer Overload. Not gonna do anything else. This week is gonna be pretty light because I was working. I was really busy last week, and I still have a lot of like work to do, and I want more time and space to figure it out. Yeah, I think that's everything. So, thank you for watching, and this was Faire channel. I hope to see you again. Happy justicing!